Good evening, everybody. Sorry for the bit of a delay. Me and Andy were chinwagging in on Skype, and I hadn't noticed the countdown and clicked down. Welcome to the channel, everybody. Usual Sunday night card reading, and then we'll have paranormal and sewer chat later on, as we as we normally do. Oh, sorry, excuse the cough. You'll have to excuse Andy's audio a bit because he's got a problem with his mic. He thinks his mic's on the way out, so he's a bit
It definitely
crackly.
is.
Yeah. So I'd just like to say thanks to Andy for coming on and being my hostess from the mostess. I don't know if he's in his little red dress or his little black dress tonight.
I bought a new sequin green one for
Oh,
tonight.
he's in sequin green tonight, folks. So there you go. Andy started taking a list.
I have.
So we'll make a start on it. There was somewhere I was going to mention at the start of the stream, and I forgot now. So
Forgot.
yeah,
It'll come back to you
it'll
halfway
come
through.
back to me halfway through, and then I'll forget it again by the time we get to the end and do the discussion. But there you go. Right, who's first on the list then, Andy?
Right, first up list we've got Joanne B.
Joanne B. Right, hang on, let's give these a good shuffle. Kaya, you're not going out, you've just been out. I swear to God, this dog does it on purpose. Right, Joanne, past, present, future, final outcome. Your past is the Two of Pentacles. Now, it's always a funny card, this one, because it doesn't always represent juggling money. For me, it represents some kind of balancing act of any of the aspects of life. I would say in this it does actually touch on the monetary thing, but I think generally it's been saying in your recent past there's been a general juggling and balancing of all aspects of your life, including financial. I don't think it's literally connected solely to money, even though it is a material card. It is showing stability in the past, Joanne, but it's showing there's been in the recent past there has been a little bit of a juggling act going on, and that's financially, emotionally, physically, everything. I'm getting that card as it's more of a general balancing card rather than just solely towards the financial. I also get the feeling you've been up-footed by something recently, but you've managed to cope with it okay. Nothing major, but I just think there was a situation that's cropped up that you weren't expecting, and it's caused a little bit of a shift in the balance in your life recently. But you've coped with it now, you've sorted it out, and the balance is, the balance has resumed. It ain't showing much going on really, Joanne. It's just showing quite a stable recent past. Things have just been ticking along quite nicely. Like I say, everything's pretty much in balance. But it is, hi Steph, but it is, in the form of you creating the balance. It ain't been outside forces. It has been effort on your part to create this balance, but it's been a nice balance at the moment. Now, what's really interesting is moving in to your present, which is the Three of Staves. Oh, it's Little Smalls is here again. Right, now what's interesting with this one, Joanne, is showing that from this balancing act now, is you're now coming into a time of contemplation in your life. There's a situation coming up, or is already occurring, that you need to take stock of. Basically, it's again nothing major, nothing dramatic, but it's like you've reached a stage in life where you're thinking, I need to broaden my horizons. I need to find new avenues of things to do. Maybe you're even contemplating a change of lifestyle, but it's definitely showing that you're now entering a period of contemplation, and there's a number of options you've got. I don't know exactly what areas of your life, but it is definitely within your personal life. I'm getting the feeling it's within the circle of your personal life. Obviously, it will impact on family and friends, but this is more of a personal thing. It's saying time to take stock, time for contemplation, time to think about where you want to take the next phase of your life. Now is the period to start it, most definitely. And there are multiple choices for you there, Joanne, most definitely. And it is saying that now is a time where you are in control of your life more than outside forces, because, like I say, it's a contemplation card. Um, it may be that you're going to part ways with certain things in your life, be they ideas, people, or whatever. Could even be material, but it's going to be a parting of the ways on your terms, and it's not going to be like negative partings or anything like that. It's just that you are going to take stock. You're going to cut away the dead leaves and stuff, prune your life back a bit, decide which way you want to go, and then you've got to go for it. Right now, this is reinforced by the card that's moving into your future, which is the Fool. Now, as I've said before, the Fool is the very first card of the tarot, and it signifies the starting of a new journey. And this is why it's being reinforced from the present. This present thing is now moving into the future where you will start this journey. Um, and it is a totally new thing for you, Joanne. It is literally a new phase of your life that you're starting out on. There's also a bit of a cautionary thing there to say, plan the route carefully. Don't just leap out, off into the unknown, because that's what that precipice that the Fool is standing on. It represents marching off into the unknown without a bit of care. But the dog, because I'm being attracted to the dog in the card, I always study this card carefully when it comes up as to whether that dog seems significant or not. And in this, he does. So that always says to me that there are going to be safeguards in place to stop you walking off that cliff unknowing. But this period is definitely about to start in the upcoming months, Joanne. Most definitely, it is, and it's a totally new phase of your life. It is literally like the start of a new journey. You're just starting out on this new phase. Um, Hang on a sec, Jace. Andy, can you just stick that a minute? I don't know why you don't just take
Yeah,
it
I
to
know
the
it
C
is.
zone. Hello.
Yeah, okie dokie, Jamie. I'll be around after the live stream.
Hello. Okay, you home? All right, I'm in the middle of the stream, Jace. I'm just doing my readings. All right, talk to you in a bit. Love you. Bye. Sorry about that. I don't know why you don't just text and say I'm home. I'm just getting into the flow of things, and I'll get the phone call. Right,
Yeah.
Joanne. It is like I was saying. It is definitely a new phase in your life. Um, New journeys, but there is a little bit of the cautionary there, saying don't jump in feet first. Plan it out carefully. But it is this entire reading is positive all the way through it. So it's definitely signifying that it's going to be a very exciting time in your life. We love you too, Jess. And it's going to be it is a positive journey. It may be a little. It may be that you're going on. What you're going to do is something that you've not experienced before, because, like I say, it does signify the start of something new. So there's going to be that excitement of what's going on, but it's definitely saying try new avenues. But this is coming. It is linking through the first three cards are most definitely linked. Then they're not separated in any way. This reading is literally telling a story. Going into the final outcome, it's really good because you got the King of Cups, which is the top royal in the Cups card, and the Cups signifies the emotion. And what this is saying is, you're heading into a period of your life now where you are going to be very happy with where you sit in life. Um, Emotions are going to be at their peak. Things are going to be really good for you in all aspects of your life: financial, physical, material, most definitely. Um, Even intellectual. There's nothing bad coming up at all, Joanne. But this new journey, because it links into the King of Cups, is something that you're going to receive a really large amount of self-satisfaction out of. I ain't saying you're going to sit there all smug, but it is going to be, it's going to be an extremely satisfying period of your life in all areas. Um, Definitely successful in whatever ever endeavour it is you're going to embark on. And I don't know what this new journey is. It's just something new for you. But like I say, this reading definitely ends on a very, very positive note with the King of Cups. Royals of any suit are always fairly good, but the king is like the ultimate of each suit to get when it comes to that. They're literally the pinnacle of that particular area of the tarot. So I'd say don't be frightened of trying something new, because yeah, it's a really positive one, Joanne. Honestly, it's a really good reading. We've started off with a really positive reading, but there's definitely success to come on a new endeavour, Joanne, and you're going to be very happy about the outcome of whatever you do. And that's about the best I can tell you at the moment. So I hope that helps, but most definitely, a nice reading for you, Joanne. Positive all the way through. Nothing negative, nothing horrible, nothing unexpected coming up. It's just going to be literally a steady progression from where you are now. And I think this has been, this has come from. It's been this new journey started a few months ago. It ain't just starting. This journey is now going on. The decisions are being made now from things that have been occurring over the last few months. But overall, Joanne, a really, really positive reading. I hope you're happy with that one.
Very good.
You're welcome, Joanne. Oh, it's always nice to start out with a good one.
Yes.
That one I did for that guy last week, I nearly died when his car, because it was literally
Oh
screaming,
yeah,
you know.
I remember that one.
And I was doing my best not to word it, and then somebody in the chat, I can't remember who it was, just turned around and said somebody's having an affair, and I'm like,
Oh yeah, I think it was you, weren't it? Yeah.
and it's like, well, yep, that's basically what the cards were saying, but I don't like telling people things like that, so I tend to be a little bit what's it. Right, who's next?
Yeah. Next is the bum trumper, Sam.
Sam. I vanished again. Hello, mate. Right, Joanne. Again, another interesting reading. Again, another positive reading. And again, you've got this partnership thing showing up in the reading. Where it was starting a couple of weeks ago with in the past. It's now moving into the present. So we'll start off with your past. Right, your past card is the Two of Swords, which is the intellectual, but it can also represent. It's a bit similar to the Hangman in the fact that there's been a bit of stagnation lately in your life, is what it's saying. You've been a bit blinded to things going on, but not blinded in the sense of eyesight. It's like everything has come at once to prevent you from doing things you want to do. You know where you want to go, and there's been decisions to be made, but outside influences have prevented you making these decisions that you want to make. You definitely know where you want to go, but the blindfolded woman signifies that there's some kind of blocking going on there. Um, it can also signify a split decision or indecision when it comes to a decision that needs to be made. But in this respect, it's coming through that it's various aspects of things that have been going on in your life recently, Sam, that have actually been blinding you to being able to be not, well, I won't say blinding, I'll say blocking, because the blindfold is actually a block. So it's saying there's been a block, and I think it's a block from multiple things. I don't think it's just an health thing. I think it's come from the intellectual side of things as well, from the material side as well as from the physical side. So there's definitely been a block there that's been holding you back, right? And I will say you did know where you wanted to go. There was decisions involved. There is a splitting of ideas here, but again, outside influences have stopped these ideas being moved forward. Now, bear in mind, Sam, this has happened, so don't worry about it. What's good is because it's moving into your present with death, and I'll move on to that in a second. Um, 30 worked. Right, okay. Um, these two cards are most definitely linked, Sam, the first two. Most definitely. Right, and what it's saying is where this indecision and these blocks are coming, you're now moving into the realm of the present and you've got the death card. Now, death does not mean death in this respect because it's surrounded by two decent cards. There's nothing overly negative in this reading at all. In fact, as the reading goes on, it gets more and more positive. Right, what it is saying is now is the period where what's been going on in the past is all about to change. The death of the past is now occurring, literally. All these things that have been holding you back are now about to change. They're going away. They're dying. It's a sign of a. It's literally a symbolic rebirth, Sam. Is the best way to put it. Um, Health-wise, there's going to definitely be an improvement. As is things of the intellectual level, because it's linked to a sword card. It's leading on from a sword card. So whatever these outside influences, Sam, that have been holding you back, and I'd say this has been going on for a number of months, Sam. I'd say probably six to 12 months. I think it's gone back that far. To be honest with you, Sam. There's been a lot of problems for at least 12 months, but now is the time when it's changing, Sam, and everything is going to change for you. It's a renewal of the mind, body, and soul, literally. That is what the death is signifying. It's a symbolic death. It's not a physical death, and it's things are about to change. And I always say the horse is jumping out at me now. A lot of the times, the pale horse it don't really attract me on this card, but it is, and that is what's showing. It's a moving forward, Sam. There's a marching forward now. There's this movement, all down to these symbolic deaths. So as the old problems fall away, there is most definitely going to be movement in your present. I think it's already started, and it's just going to build momentum now. It's going to be like a snowball running downhill. The more you get out of these blockages, the faster it's going to happen, sort of thing. And things are going to happen from all directions that are just going to bring a big improvement. And that they're all starting. They're all starting now, Sam. They're all coming together now. It's a convergence, but it's a very, very positive convergence because death is signifying a clearing away of the cobwebs. Right, moving into your future again. We've got this partnership card, Sam. Now you've had this in your last reading, and for some reason this partnership is definitely going to be very, very important because I'm seeing those two people exchanging cups, and the thing that's popping out to me is it's almost like a business agreement. But I ain't saying it is business, but it's like that kind of thing. It's something, it could be something to do with your own channel, or it could be something to do with another hobby you've got. But you and another person are going to become very involved in this hobby together. And he's here again, Sam. He's here again. But this other person is really, really important to your future regarding this. It's like some kind of transaction, Sam. But it's mutually beneficial to the two of you. You're both gonna, profit greatly from it. And when I say profit, I don't necessarily mean financially, but on other levels, you're definitely going to profit from it. But this person is going to become very, very significant, and it's moving closer now because I'm getting the feeling it's like 2 to 3 months max that this is all going to kick off. But this partnership with the person, you've got to look out. And again, I am convinced it's within the current social circle of people you know. I don't think it's a new person who's going to come into your life. Hi, Elizabeth. It's going to be a person that you already know. That is the sense I'm getting off the card. It's already within the social circle, but you need to keep an eye out for this person because this person is going to take. You've got a lot to offer them, and they've got a lot to offer you. And between the two of you, you're going to start going places, physically and metaphorically. It's going to start taking you places. A lot of things you may have planned and you felt that you can't really do on your own. Once you've got this, and I keep saying this, I get the sense it's like a business agreement, Sam, but it's not a business, if you know what I mean. It's almost like a contract, an unspoken contract between the two of you. It's yeah, that exactly, Sam. Exactly, Sam. I don't get the thing that it's a financial profit, and I don't get the sense it's a business agreement for finance. It's profiting in other areas. It's going to help you. It's going to develop you in other areas of your life. I you know, I, just generally in your life. And when I say business partnership, I say that in the terms of like an unspoken agreement between the two of you, and not necessarily like business on a financial level. It's almost like a very very strong friendship is going to develop, but this friendship is going to be really important in what you do. It's not just going to be an emotional support friendship. It's going to be a friendship that involves all areas of your life, and it's going to help you start doing the things that that have held you back in the last 6 months, most definitely. And this is why it links in with this is why death is in between the two, because it's saying now is the time that the changes are coming, and this is what it's leading up to. When you say Sam, you sound like Derek. Help me here, Sam. Help me here. Could you bring them closer, Sam? Right, now your final outcome. I always love the Wheel of Fortune in the final outcome because it's showing a change in fortune on all levels, and I always consider it a very, very lucky card when it's in the position of final outcome. It's not necessarily a good card if it's sat next to the Tower or next to the Hangman, because sometimes that shows a downward turn of fortune. But when it sits like that next to a positive card, it always shows a positive turn of fortune. So again, like Joanne's reading, it is saying, the future's orange, the future's bright, sort of thing. Um, there is definitely a change in fortune coming for you, Sam. And again, when I say fortune, I don't mean on the material level, though it could be, but it's more in the general aspects of your life. Things in your life are definitely, the wheel of fortune is on the up. You're on the upward part of the wheel now because it constantly turns. You go up, down, up, down, up, down, and what it's saying is your final outcome that your fortune is definitely on the rise rather than on the decline. So that is really really good, Sam. But it is this partnership. It was almost like the readings I did for Stephen the other week when he kept coming up with this. There was some hidden that was going on, and you're getting this repeat about this 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 contract. And I hate to call it a business contract because it isn't, but that's the best way I can describe it. It's like it's a friendship, an extended friendship. It's a very tight bonded thing, but it's gonna take you places, Sam. It really is, and your fortunes are definitely on the rise now. Really on the rise. I'm really glad we've had two really positive readings, Andy. I like
Yeah,
them when I'm
definitely.
like this. I do like them when I'm like this. But it's definitely a good one for you, Sam. Things are on the up and up and up and up and up. But just please keep an eye open for this person, and it's somebody you already know, most definitely. But they're going to help you hell of a lot. They're going to allow you to do things that you haven't necessarily been able to do in the past, and this is all happening now because death is sitting in the present. So the change is occurring now, but this actual contract is something that's yet to come. It may be building. It could be, Sam. It could very well be about your paranormal investigating. It could very well be, but it is it is this friendship is definitely tied to something that you want to do. Evening, Gillian. But there you go, Sam. Very positive reading. Happiness, smiles, rainbows, and bluebirds all round. And we'll throw the odd unicorn in
Oh, why not?
and a leprechaun at the end for fortune. Oh, I stuck my four-leaf clover on the back of my spirit box tonight as well, Andy.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Cool.
Right, who's next on the list?
Right, next up we've got little snails.
Lil Snails, who says we can. Oh, this is an interesting one. Um, right, Little Snails. Past, present, future, final outcome. To start off, in your past, we've got the Three of Swords. Now, this card is one of the cards that's always really odd because to me it shows some kind of art break in some kind of manner, and I don't know what level, but it definitely shows affairs of the heart being somehow interfered with. So something on an emotion in your recent past, you've suffered some kind of emotional death of something. Now it could be a death of an idea that's affected you emotionally, but there's been definitely been the death of something recently in the past on an emotional level, but connected to the intellect, which is really odd, because normally the emotions and the intellect are like opposite poles. But what it's saying is, um, this is like the card where it says the head rules the heart. So what I'm saying here is something in the past recently has been very important to you, where you've made a decision and gone with your head rather than your heart, and it's been quite an important thing that's recently occurred. Don't know what it is, but it's definitely affected you on the intellectual and emotional level, most definitely. But it's been very important to you. And it could be something. It could even be something like the death of ideas or beliefs. It could even be the ending of a relationship, or the ending of a friendship, or something like that. But it's something that's been significant to you in the past. But it was definitely involving a decision. You could have either made the decision and gone with your head, or gone with your heart, and you've gone with your head. And basically, because it's linked to the magician, the next card, what the cards are saying is whatever that decision was you've made was the right one of the two. So you were right to go with the head and not the heart. But it has been very significant in the past to link up to the magician in the present. So I don't know what the situation was or what it is, but it's over and done with now. And coming into excuse me, coming into your present, it's really interesting because you've got the magician. Now, a lot of people don't like the magician card because they say it's a sign of trickery and deceit. But for me, the way it's sitting between those two cards, it's a nice card. It's a positive card. Andy, I've just had that. I've got that really
I've just
strange.
heard it.
Could you hear it?
Yeah,
That must be
yeah, I
your. That
heard it.
must be your mic or headphones.
Yeah, I think it is.
It sounds like a cricket on speed. Right, now moving into your present, and I'm going to call little snails because it's easier to say than little smalls. Um, it's saying for you that now is a period of self development. There's a time to learn new things. It also signifies that paranormal forces are around you at the moment. I don't know whether things are happening to you, strange things or whatever. But that is what I'm getting off this card. That there is a very strong paranormal element to your life at the moment. I don't know whether it's you're learning new things regarding the paranormal, or there's outside paranormal influences coming in that are influencing you on a positive level. Um, it could signify a relative who's already gone is watching over you, but they are playing a very important part at the moment. But the paranormal element of your life is very, very strong at the moment. There are definitely paranormal forces around you, and that is what is considerably important at the moment. It's saying any sort of little signs you pick up, and I don't know what sort of things you believe in, but everybody's slightly different in what they believe and what they don't believe. But everybody reads certain things as signs and other things as omens. And what that card's saying to me at the moment is Now is the time to pay very, very careful attention to your own personal set of signs and omens, because they're very important in guiding you at the moment. They're coming through to you for a reason, and I don't know, it's a positive reason, Lil Smalls. There's nothing negative about this paranormal stuff going on. It's definitely a paranormal influence on the positive side, but it is saying be very, very aware of these signs at the moment, because they are very important to you, because they are in some way trying to guide you. Now, I don't believe in spirit guides as such. I don't believe, that you've got a spirit guide who follows you around all your life, but I do believe that at certain periods in your life, certain elements and entities will come in to help you if they feel that you need the help. But, I don't think it's a permanent type thing, but that's just my personal belief. But at the moment, there is definitely something around you that is trying to guide you. It's not being overtly obvious, but it's giving you certain signs that you should be able to recognize. It's giving you signs on a level that you would understand, that that resonate with your own personal belief in signs and omens. And it's saying keep an eye open for them. Hi, Jane. Most definitely keep an eye out for them, because they're trying to tell you something at the moment. Moving into your present, this one is really interesting, because again, this is the Five of Cups. Now, fives again are always strange cards, because they are balance, and what it's saying is, whatever these things are at the moment, are trying their best to set you up so that you are on an even keel emotionally sometime in the future, because it's showing that there's again a sign of there's a period coming up where you need to be away from, and I don't mean physically away, but you need to withdraw into yourself and reassess your own emotional beliefs and feelings. And this is what these signs are that are coming off the magician. That whatever they're trying to tell you, you need to follow, because they're trying to point you to a period that's going to come up in your life that will be very emotionally balanced for you. You'll be at a stage in your life where you're very happy, where you're very content, and things, you've got no major worries as such. But it is very important that you listen to the signs coming from the magician, and what it's saying is the self-contemplation side of things is very important, because once you get once this paranormal stuff around you is finished, you then have to sit back and assess it, and you'll, oh well, I well just monged out at the cards. Okay, okay, Jamie. But definitely there's a period coming up for you where you've got to do a bit of self-assessment, Little Smalls, and it is going to be as a result of what's going on with you now, and they're being passed here. But it is definitely a very positive time again, because it's the Five of Cups and it's sitting between two decent cards. Again, the five is one of these cards where you can take it both ways depending on what's around it, and because they're positive cards, it's the positive aspects of the five rather than the negative, which tends to be stagnation and not moving much. This is showing the balance and stability on an emotional level, but really interesting that it's going to come from a paranormal area. Your final outcome, Little Smalls, is the Queen of Swords. Now, I honestly think that this Queen represents you, and what it's saying is you steer your path right at the moment, and not only are you going to be very, very stable on the emotional level, you're going to be very, very stable on the intellectual level as well. It's saying you're going to end up as a very independent person, very much in control of your own mind, because that is what the Queen is representing. Again, a start of new things to come in the final outcome, and it's also showing that you're going to enter a bit of there's a bit of a dreamy stage coming up where hopes and wishes are at a period where they're attainable. And I ain't saying things like win the lottery, but I'm saying everyday hopes and wishes. You're going to reach a period in your life where you're going to be at that point where your little minor hopes and wishes are all going to come to fruition, most definitely. Very, very settled, but it's nice that you're going to get this balancing of the emotions, but it's going to lead to you being very, very strong and independently minded in the future. Definitely your own boss when it comes to how your life is going to go. but it is important that you do take this period of introspection to do it, because that is what the Five of Cups is signifying. But it's got to be done through the emotional. It's not going to be done through the physical, and it's not going to be done through the material. It's definitely going to be done through the emotional side of things. But it is a little bit of work on your own part, but you've got the help of the magician, and that magician is the most important card in your reading at the moment, and it's the one that's sitting in the present, because it's saying you're receiving the information you need right now to get your life into a very nice area and a very nice phase. But it's all coming from a paranormal level, so you've got to be prepared to open yourself up and listen to these signs. Read the things that you're getting. A lot of people will say, "Oh, that's just coincidence," or that was just a matter of luck. It's not. Whatever's happening at the moment to you is definitely coming from a paranormal source, and I get the feeling it's probably from people around you who are not on this plane now, that they've gone somewhere else, if you know what I mean. But it's going to cause you a lot of thinking to do, but it is going to put you very, very emotionally balanced, a very nice place to be, but also very much in control of your own mind and in control of your own destiny, most definitely. So I hope that helps. Little Smalls,
Very good.
another nice one. I love nice ones. You know what this means? Somebody's going to get a really, really horrible reading in a minute.
Uh-oh. Well, we know who's next.
Who's next?
Jamie.
All right. Please don't throw the tower and death together.
Uh,
Okay, let's give these a shuffle. Welcome, Jessica. It don't matter being a lurker. Everybody lurks on channels at one point or another. I bet Joanne's sitting there now writing a list down of questions for after Andy. That's why I wanted to get a card reading in early. What awkward questions can I ask Andy today?
you think she thinks of them all week?
Right, Jamie. Past, present, future, final outcome. Your past is a really interesting card because it's the Hierophant, one of the major arcana, so basically it's showing that it's an important aspect. Now, the Hierophant to me always signifies advice from a trusted source. So something has been coming in the past. There's been some kind of advisor in your past, and when I say past, I mean recent past. There's been advice coming from somewhere. There's good advice, which is setting you up for the next phase, the next period of your life, for the next 6 to 12 months. Can't say whether this person's male or female yet. I get the feeling it's probably female, even though the Hierophant is male. I'm just getting the impression that it's probably a female. But there's a female that's been in your life recently that has been imparting some, and it's secret knowledge. It was knowledge that you were not aware of. It's not just advice about something you knew about. They have been feeding you information of stuff that you didn't know, and you've been learning from it. Um, Very much, I'm getting it. Really, I'd have preferred. I'm getting this as more of an Empress card than an Hierophant card, which is really weird. I'm getting the feeling off this is more of like a motherly, girly girly thing, Andy.
Hmm.
It's that kind of relationship I'm getting.
Right.
All girls together, and there's been a bit of a good advice coming from there somewhere. Um, there is it's really interesting, Jamie. It's really interesting because this person has imparted knowledge to you that you didn't know, but it's all positive stuff. It's positive knowledge. It ain't been like it ain't been backbiting type of knowledge or gossiping or trying to cause you trouble. This person has been working for your good. You know, they have been they have been knowledgeable, and they've also been they've been very comforting on a spiritual level, if you know what I mean. Rather like like a priest or a reverend would be to somebody in the Christian church, religious Christian. It's been that kind of relationship. They've almost been like a confidant type thing to you, but they've been giving you very good advice, and they've played a very important part recently in something. Right, leading into your present, this is the one that's not so good, Jamie, because it's tied in next to the hangman. Now, what I'm saying here is be very, very careful in relationships at the moment because they are currently in the balance and could go one way or the other. Um, I get the impression there's something you're about to learn in now, in the present. You're gonna become party to some information that is gonna make you totally reassess all your relationships in your life with various people, and they're very much at the crux of a balance point now, and it could tip one way or the other. Because what's a bit worrying is that leads on to the hangman. Now the hangman is a negative card. There's no doubt about that. It's classed as a negative card, and it's saying that there's a chance here that things could turn sour, and go into suspension and not go anywhere, sort of things. That the emotional side of things will grind to an halt, and this is what this card is saying at the moment. You're definitely going to come into some knowledge. I don't think it's actually tied to the Hierophant, but I think it's tied to within the circle of the Hierophant. So wherever whatever circle of your social circle that the Hierophant is in your life, this is where you're going to learn this information from. It's going to come from that group of people who are with the Hierophant, okay? If you get what I mean. But they're going to say you're going to find out something off one or more of them that is going to cause you to reassess your relationships. And I get the impression it ain't just one relationship; it's all relationships. But obviously, some relationships are more important than others. Um, and I hate to say it, Jamie, but I keep getting this. I keep that that guy standing in that card makes me feel it's like loneliness, being on your own. There's something connected with loneliness going on at the moment, or is about to go on, and it's definitely on the emotional level because it's the Five of Cups and it's standing next to the Hangman. I'm thinking, and I'm going into your future. You've got the Hangman, which, like I said, is stagnation and suspension, the feeling of going nowhere. Um, okay, this is more of a warning, I think, than an actual prediction, and it's telling you that you're going to go one of two ways here. You've got to be very, very careful what you do regarding this decision because one of them will not be, because sometimes you get a reading where you may get more than one choice and all of them are okay. Some are better than others, but none of them are particularly negative. In this respect, I'm getting the impression if you make the wrong choice here, it's going to be catastrophic on a social level, most definitely on an emotional level as well. Most definitely, because it's going to drive you into a period where everything just grinds to an halt. Everything's, it's suspended. You're in a rut. There's no progress being made. But I think that is coming more as a warning, Jamie. I definitely do feel that is coming more as a warning that you've got to be very, very careful with what. See, I don't know whether this person is giving you good advice or bad advice. The Hierophant is definitely advising you good, but the person who's about to advise you or has already advised you, I cannot tell you if they're doing it for your benefit or to your detriment. But it might be wise to refer back to the Hierophant if you ain't sure. Okay? maybe have a work once you get older, impart this knowledge. Whoever it is imparts this knowledge to you. Maybe go back to the Hierophant and get their opinion on it, because they will give you an unbiased opinion on it, and one that is probably better for you. And it may not necessarily be the advice you want, but I would definitely take it if they've got a point of view, because they're featuring now in this progression. Again, like I say, this future card is more of a warning that you know, if you don't play your cards right now, excuse the pun, you know, you're gonna enter a period of your life where nothing's going on. You're gonna feel like you're banging your head off a brick wall and nothing's going nowhere. But like I say, I'm getting that as an advisory, because the rest of the cards are all positive cards. Um, there is a way around this, and it links into your final outcome, and your final outcome is the Page of Swords. Now the page is the first of the royal cards, of the royal suits, and because it's swords, it's intellectual. And what it's saying is you've got to do you know, there's got to be a lot of movement in your thinking here. Um, so what I would say to you is, these decisions that are coming up now, don't just go on past experience with them. Um, think them through fully. There's got to be a lot of mental agility here to work your way through this. And I don't mean be crafty or nothing, but don't go down set paths you've done in the past. You've got to have that bit of mental flexibility here to see the situation from every point of view. You know, don't just see it from your own point of view. See it from the other person's point of view. See it from an outside point of view, and then make your decision from that regarding what you're about to hear off this person. But I really would refer back to the Hierophant, Jamie, because the Hierophant is important. Most definitely important. They probably are your greatest ally at the moment, and it's somebody who's recently been doing this particular job for you. You know, they're the one that you need to refer back to if you're not sure. But it's saying be very, very flexible in your thinking, because that's what the Page of Swords is showing. It's movement and joy, and like a kid running around all over the place. You've got to be viewing this mentally from all angles, is what it's saying. It's also saying, you know, that there's got to be a change in attitude as well. Is coming up for you, and it is definitely going to come out of what's going on now. There is definitely a change of attitude coming, and I think it's going to be a positive one, Jamie. I don't think it's going to be a great fireworks type thing, but there's definitely going to be a change of attitude regarding them first three cards, and they're going to be the result of it. But please do judge the situation from all angles. Don't just view it from a personal level, because what that page is saying is it's movement. You've got to walk between different people and view it from their point of view as well, because that's the path through it at the moment. But that hangman is definitely coming as a warning, Jamie. Most definitely coming as a warning to be careful, because everything can grind to an halt if you make any wrong decisions here. But please refer back to whoever you consider is the Hierophant in your life, because they've got advice for you that will help steer you through it. But ultimately, obviously, it's your own decision. It is your own decision. But just keep that mental flexibility going, and everything's going to be okay. It's not a bad reading in any way, Jamie. It's nothing nastily horrible, but there is that little bit of a warning there, just to say be aware. Okay. So I hope that helped you. How many we got, Andy, tonight?
We have got one, two, three, four more.
Oh, that ain't too bad.
Yeah. Next
What?
up is Gillian.
Gillian Daniels. Okay. That's an interesting one. Right, Gillian. Um, Obviously, past, present, future, final outcome. Your past one is really weird because I ain't getting much off it. Sad to say. Um, Again, I'm getting this feeling. There's been some, and I wouldn't say major regret, but there's recently been some kind of regret in your life, or there's been some situation that's caused you to rethink a situation. Um, it's definitely been negative, but not majorly negative. It's been like a niggle thing type of thing. Um, I don't think it's been life changing as such, but there's something recently happened that has caused you to stop and assess what's been going on in your life. And I think it's more of a general assessment rather than a specific health one. It could be linking to health because it is the ones which signify the physical. Um, maybe you've been a little bit worried about your health recently in the past. I don't know, but I don't think it's been something major regarding your health. But there may have been some niggly worries recently coming up regarding health. But I don't get the impression it's just health. I'm getting the impression off the card there's been a little bit of self worry about things recently in the past that have caused you to stop and think and reassess how things have been going on. Now, don't worry about it, Gillian, because this phase has passed. It has definitely passed. Whatever this card signified has already gone on, most definitely. But there's definitely some kind. I'm getting a female. I'm getting a feeling, Gillian, that there's very much a wistfulness coming off this card, almost like a bit of regret. It's like there's some kind of regret sitting there over something that's gone on in the past, and this is within the last 6 months. I don't know what, but I'm just getting that there's just this little bit of regret over something, or more specifically, someone. Um, I think it could quite possibly be a person rather than a situation, but there's definitely wistfulness and regret connected to it in some way, and to what degree I couldn't tell you. What is really interesting is moving into your present. It's saying that whatever's been going on recently has caused. Um, I always say that's the death of ideas. That card there, it's the death of ideas and beliefs. It's the death of something on an intellectual level, and the only way you'll have a death of anything on the intellectual level is one, you either brain dead and die, which you're still here, so that ain't the thing. It's a person, okay. Um, but they have definitely caused a major change in your way of thinking, Gillian. Whatever this person has done, or whatever they've caused you to do, has definitely caused, and this is now, it's caused a major change in some line of your thinking and ideas, or maybe in your beliefs, but it's definitely a massive change in an idea or a belief system. So because that to me literally does signify the death of ideas and beliefs. So, and it's going on now. So again, you're getting this reevaluation type theme in in this reading, and it's really weird because it carries through to the next card as well. Gillian, there's a lot of movement in this reading, a lot of movement, a lot of change, definitely changing, most definitely changing. But this idea now is something that's going to be very significant because it's leading into the future, and it's a pull. It's the sphinxes I'm seeing on that card. I'll move to that in a minute, but this change in outlook is definitely linked to this person that you've just referenced, Gillian, and the first card. Most definitely, it's linked to that, and it's been a very drastic change. It's not been like a minor change in thoughts and ideas. It has literally been the ending of one set of ideas or beliefs and the starting of another. And this is carrying on into your future because you've got the Chariot. Now the Chariot represents a number of things, but it is ultimately a movement and control card. And what's jumping out on that card at me at the moment is the Sphinxes. and the fact, and I'm getting the impression off it that Sphinx, I either get them as good and bad, ideas springing up, things pulling in opposite directions, or just generally trap movement. But in this case, I'm definitely getting the pulling apart. But it's something that you're allowing to happen, Gillian, or you're going to allow to happen. And I think what it's saying is the solutions to what's currently going on with you on the intellectual level can have more than one path. One is better than the other, but neither of them are overly, neither of them are a negative solution. But there are going to be multiple options coming up in the near future to you that are going to arise from the present card, the sword stuck in all the people. Um, but there's going to be, uh, and I don't think it's just two options, Gillian. I think there's going to be, multiple options that you're going to have. But it is saying that you're most definitely in control of what's going on. Um, they are very, very varying in where they will lead. They're not all ideas leading in a general direction. All these ideas and solutions that that are going to present themselves to you coming up shortly are going to be radically different from one another, and it's up to you to literally to hang on to the reins, and it's up to you to decide which path you're going to steer on these. Now, like I say, even though they're black and white, and another aspect is the good and evil side of the sphinxes. Um, I'm not. I Deb. I'm not getting the impression that any of these choices are going to be negative, Gillian. I think they're all going to be good for you in their own way, but some are definitely going to be better than others. But what it is saying there is the decision is solely down to you on which path you want to take. And honestly, Gillian, I'm getting the impression it's more than two. There's more than two paths you can take. I'm three, four, five options are going to come open to you quite easily, and every one of them will benefit you in some way. But some will benefit you more than others, but none of them will impact on you negatively. There'll all be some kind of improvement for you, most definitely, most definitely. But it's saying it's up to you to choose, and they are going to cause, you know, quite substantial changes in your life in the near future. These aren't going to be like little changes because it's the chariot. It's quite advanced movement. There is a lot of movement going on there, most definitely. But it's all for the positive, Gillian, most definitely. Um, Leading on to your final outcome, again, you've got a wands card, which goes back to the physical. But the thing that's jumping out at me on that one is the two people in the background. And if you look, the wands are actually forming a garland between pavilions. And to me, that always signifies a settling in family life. And I think wherever you're going at the moment, whatever this decision you make, is going to have a massive positive impact on your family life. Not just for you personally, but whatever you decide is going to be massively impactful for the good on your family. I can see a very settled period of coming up where your family life is going to be really nice and really pleasant and really settled. But this is going to be as a result. Um, I have a dog YouTube channel. It's definitely this decision, this path you decide to take is definitely going to benefit the whole family, not just you. It's going to have a wider impact because a lot of the times when you do a reading for a person, it narrows specifically on the person, especially where the chariot's concerned. But because it's sitting next to the four of wands, to me that signifies a settled family life. So I'm saying that whatever decision you make is definitely going to have a wider impact than just you personally, and it's going to be a positive. It's going to be a positive impact. I don't know why, and this could be totally off, Gillian, because like I say, I only do this on intuition. But that final outcome I keep getting wedding in my head. That is like a wedding pavilion. Those four things with this, and I don't know whether you've got kids or someone in the family, but it sounds like to me, and I could be totally off with this, so don't take it as gospel, Julian. But I'm getting a wedding connection with that card, and I don't know why. but it's something to do with the choice you make. Will have some impact on that wedding, but it's the entire family as a whole. Uh, it affects most definitely. But it's again a really good reading, Gillian. A really good one. It started off, a little bit whimsical and introspective, but this reading's got more and more positive as it's gone on. It really has. But it does. Your final outcome definitely revolves around the family. So family life is going to be. I've no idea, Gillian. I could be totally off with the wedding thing. Like I say, I do this totally on intuition. But to me, I don't know why, but that it just kept popping into my head. That looked like a wedding pavilion, and the two people could be walking down the aisle. But there's definitely going to be a big impact on your family with what you decide, Gillian, and it's definitely going to be a positive thing. You ain't going to be causing no family rows or nothing. It's definitely going to be good. Whatever you decide to do is definitely going to be good for your entire family. Definitely a bright future for the next 6 months for the family. So hope that helped. Oh, I could do with a drink.
Yeah, you got yourself a drink.
I could do with a smoke as well.
The smoke as well, then.
Well, I would have done, but I've just dropped it on the floor. Hang on a minute, I don't know where it's gone. Oh, I had a fag then. I've lost it. Oh, I can't believe it. I'll just roll me a fag. Can you talk for a second, Andy?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about this, but I definitely need a tobacco reboost because I'm.
It's got to be done. It's one thing.
Yeah, it has. I got one ready and I've just knocked it off the table and I think it's rolled under the settee somewhere. I'll have to fish it out after. I'm moving all the settee now. But yeah, Gillian, that was a really interesting one. Really interesting one. Because it started off on a very personal note and then it branched out into more of a wider. Now, Elizabeth, I can't stand whiskey. Whiskey literally killed me when I was a teenager. Literally twice. I had to be resuscitated on whiskey with electric paddles to start my heart again. So I cannot stand whiskey. Just the smell of it makes me feel sick. It was drinking whiskey that caused me to have my near-death experience with the annoying red-headed woman. Andy. I'm never getting into heaven after that. Never. If there's an heaven, I'm never getting into it. But it was quite interesting though. Not your typical NDE at all. There was no tunnel. There was no, singing angels or relatives waiting there for me. There was just an annoying woman with red hair. Oh, who's next on the list, Andy?
Next is Hell of a Human.
Hell the Human.
Hell of Human.
Oh, I've got to refer to somebody as Hell.
Or Human.
Okay. Right. Here we go then. Queen of Swords. Well, this is another nice one. Right. Hell. The only weird card in this spread is the Queen of Swords. Now the queen normally signifies a female. The swords normally signifies intellect. So put them together, and we're talking a clever woman here. Who she is at the moment, I don't know, but I don't know if you're a female or not. I'm probably not with that name, Hell of a Human. I don't know, you may be. But there's something here connected to a very, very clever woman that has happened recently with you. I don't know whether it's you yourself. I don't get the impression it is. I get the impression it's somebody else. But this woman has played a very, very, very important part in your life recently, and she is a very sharp woman mentally. I don't mean sharp as in sharp tongued. She's a very, very clever woman, almost to the point of being, or could be, manipulative. Okay, but I don't know who this woman is in your life recently, but she has had an impact on your life, and she's definitely a clever woman. Um, and I would go as far as to say, could be manipulative if she wanted to be. Not getting what a relationship to you is, but she's definitely within your social circle. It's not somebody working, not somebody who's affected you outside your social circle. It's somebody who's affected you within the social circle. It's definitely somebody you know. Um, I don't know. It could be somebody that you've actually been romantically linked to or wanted to be romantically linked to. I ain't saying it is, but it's that kind of thing. It's that kind of social interaction. But this woman has done something or has played a part in some way that in the past has been really, really important to you. Now, I get the impression she's linked to friends, because moving into your um, present card, you've got the Nine of Cups. Now, the Nine of Cups, I always say to people, when it's surrounded by certain cards, is really good because it signifies emotional support of either your family or your friends or both. And what it's saying to me is, at the moment, you've either got a lot of emotional support from friends and family, or you're about to receive a lot of emotional support from friends and family. But that card is definitely linking back to the Queen of Swords. So I don't know if they're supporting you because of this woman, or they are going to support you as a result of this woman. I don't know whether she's directly instigated it, or she is going to be the result of them doing this. But there's definitely a lot of emotional support. Um, yes, Elizabeth, but this is a particularly sharp woman, a very, very clever woman. The Queen of Swords always signifies a woman who's very, very intellectually motivated. Very intellectually motivated. But there's definitely a lot of, like I say, hell of a human. There's definitely a lot of emotional support about to come your way if it's not there already. But there's going to be a situation arrive where you're going to need this support, and they are going to be like your emotional shield from something. And I don't think it's anything negative, but I think that there's a backing up for some particular reason. They are going to be there to support you through or with a certain situation. Now, the reason I'm saying I don't think it's negative is because it's sitting next to the star. Now, the star is the card of hope and success, but it's success on a personal level through personal effort. And that is why I think there's something you're about to do, or there's something you're doing now for yourself, but you will receive a lot of emotional support from friends and family. And I get the impression the majority of it will probably come from family rather than friends, if you can understand that. Um, it will come from both areas, but I'm getting it's more from your inner social circle rather than your outer social circle. And I always class inner social as family and very, very, very close friends. And that's where the support is going to come from. And it's advising you, to take the support, because a lot of people do get a little bit offended and uptight when people start offering help or encouragement and advice. But what this is saying is, whatever these people do for you, take it with good grace, because it's going to set you up quite well for your future, because your future card is the star. Now, what that's saying is something that you've been hoping for, or something you've been working towards, is about to come to pass. And I would say with this, it's within the next 6 months. Um, okay? But definitely something that's about to whatever, something you've either hoped for or something you're actively working towards, is about to occur in the next 6 months, but it is still going to require work on your part to get to that point, because the other thing that the star signifies is one, self-control. But if you look, they're pouring water, and they're pouring some into the pool and some onto the dry ground. Now that symbolises a few things. One, it can signify, that although you're putting a lot of energy where it should be, you maybe not keeping your eye on the ball of everything. But I don't think that's what it is in this one. I believe that it's showing that, she's pouring water into the pool, but she's also watering the land around her, giving it fertility and allowing things to grow. And that is what I think this element of the card is with you. And that whatever it is you hope for, or you're wishing for, or you're working towards, is going to come true. But it still needs a little bit of work on your part, signified by her pouring the water onto the ground and watering the little, or the little tree thing. She's actually nurturing the tree. So that's saying, you still need to nurture your hopes and wishes a little bit, but you are going to get there. I would also again say, take advice off people, because there are people still surrounding you, signified by the 7 stars. Again, these can come from a this is going to be a help or advice from an unexpected level. And this is very similar to the Magician card, where it's more of a paranormal element, where it's, almost like fairy godmother type thing, where it's coming from something from without this realm. It could be relatives who've passed. It could be what some people say, they have a guardian angel. Some people say they've got guides, but the help is going to come from that quarter. Whatever your specific belief is, there is also going to be help from that quarter coming up in the future to help you attain these goals. And this is also going to occur within the next 6 months. Now, your final outcome is really good, because it's the 3 of Cups, and I always say this is the celebration and party card. So it's showing really good success in whatever you want to achieve. And linked next to the star, it multiplies it on a level. It really does ramp up the power of the 3 of Cups, the star. And what that's saying is there is great success for you to come, most definitely. Almost to the celebratory level. It's showing like a party. People are happy, people are content, but it's a celebration. It is most definitely a celebration. And I always think they're toasting success. And that is what that card means for me. Very much like the world, it is a sign of success. And it's success linked through the star, back through the cups. But it's all resulting from this Queen of Swords. This smart woman is the one who's instigated all this. But it's led you down a path, or it's leading you down a path that is very, very good for you at the moment. Hell of a human. But those 2 middle cards are definitely saying, take advice, take help where it's offered, but it's going to come both from the physical and the spiritual planes, is where it's coming from. Most people normally get one or the other. You're in a phase of life now that is going to be really, really lucky, because you'll be getting it from the physical level now, but in the future, as things start to come to the point where you want them to be, you're also going to get them from the spiritual level as well, to reinforce it. But whatever they do for you, both physical and spiritual, is going to be very, very successful for you as a person. And this reading is specifically to you. This is a very linear reading to you. It doesn't concern anybody else's success, or anybody within the family or within your social circle. This is like an arrow. This is an arrow going straight as a die to you. This reading is solely concerning you, but there is definitely some really nice success on the way. But there is still that little bit of work you've got to do to get there. Don't just rely on others, is basically what the undertone of the message is. If you want to ask what the undertones are, is although you're going to get a lot of support on the way, don't sit back on your laurels, because there is still work required from you to get to that point of the 3 of Cups. But you will get there, and it's going to be positive. The future's bright. Hell of a human at the moment. It's looking really good. Hope that helped. My future ain't good, Andy. I've lost a fag somewhere.
Proper crisis.
I don't know whether it's rolled. I've rolled me another, and I don't know whether it rolled under the. It ain't gone under the coffee table. I've just moved the coffee table and looked. I don't know where it bloody went. I'll find it later on.
Find it in gravy pot one day.
Or did I say that? I'll go for coffee tomorrow morning. It'll be in my coffee. Oh, I know. That was what I meant to tell you. Just before I came online, we've been having kettle action again.
Again?
Me and Jace were sitting in here watching bloody Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And the kettle started. I could hear the kettle in the kitchen. Well, Jace noticed it first. He says the kettle's going on and off, and it was going click, 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 click. And when I went in, it was boiling again.
Yeah, cool.
It was the coffee that reminded me. Someone wants to make me a coffee in the kitchen again. I'm a bit wary of accepting coffee off things in my kitchen now.
Yeah.
Right, who's next?
Next we've got Nikki New.
Right, Nikki. Well, that's interesting. Ace of Swords straight onto the King of Swords, straight into the High Priestess. That is interesting. Right, Nikki. Again, there's been past, present, future, final outcome. Recent past has been the birth of new thinking, because that's what the Ace of Swords signifies. It's basically the start of a new journey on the intellectual level. So what that is saying is there's been a total change of attitudes recently, a total way of looking at things, of ideas and of beliefs that has recently occurred. It is the start of a positive journey, because the aces always are, but it is a total reworking of thinking. It's literally like resetting beliefs and stuff. It ain't like it was with Gillian, where it was a death of certain ideas. This is a total reworking of how of your outlook on life from an intellectual point of view, from the mental, and it's been recent as well. Most definitely the start of a new journey, mentally wise. I'm getting the impression as well it hasn't been something that you solely did yourself. It's come from it's Andy's mic, unfortunately, Joanne. We can't do nothing about it. You gotta put up with it. Oh Christ, now it's clicking. What was that? It's revving up again. Yeah, Joe, Nikki, there's definitely this total reworking of ideas, looking at things from a different viewpoint, and this has been in the recent past. Linking into the future, you've got the King of Swords. Now, this is present, and this is referring to a very, very clever man. But because he's next to the High Priestess can be considered secretive and manipulative. And this is why I think these next two cards are basically referring to one person. I don't think that this is future and present. This is a person, Nikki. Now this is a very clever man, or somebody who works on an intellectual level, very much like the Queen. The King is the same, but because it's linked to the High Priestess, it's showing trickery, manipulation, and deceit off this King. So what it's saying is, think on your feet about what you're saying and doing at the moment, because this guy is doing something at the moment that you may not be aware of, but it's not for your benefit. These two are definitely coming as a warning, Nikki. Just be very aware of the men in your life at the moment. And I don't just mean that like romantically. I mean that in your total circle of social circle. I don't think it's your inner circle, it's your outer circle. It's friends, not close friends, it's outer friends. Or people who are in the outer circle. But there's some kind of trickery or deceit going on here. And they're playing the mental game, Nikki. Okay? They're definitely playing the mental game. And they're doing it with trickery. Because what they're doing is not necessarily real. Because the High Priestess, again, is one of the supernatural cards. But when she comes to deceit and trickery, she is the warning card of all is not what it appears to be. And this is what it's saying about this King of Swords. I don't know who it is. They may be presenting themselves as a friend who wants to help you, or they may just be an outright enemy who's being open about it. But I don't think it is. I think this person is doing it on the sly. They're definitely doing it in a very, very crafty manner, Nikki. Because the High Priestess is also the keeper of hidden knowledge, very much like a Hierophant is. She's the female version of the Hierophant. But when she's around certain cards, she has a more negative element. And that is what I'm getting off this King of Swords. I'm getting the negative elements off the King of Swords because this guy is clever in a crafty way, not clever in an intellectual manner, clever in a crafty way. Okay, Nikki? But these two cards are just warning you, be on your guard about him, because you've set yourself on a new path now and you've got to stick to it. And this king is standing in your path, right? But it's being done by trickery, and not everything is what it seems, Nikki. Whatever they're doing is not always what it appears to be. So it could be that they're appearing to you as a friend but working in the background, or they are doing it to your face, but they are doing it with lies. They're making out things are what they actually aren't. So that's just an advisory. Your final outcome is quite good there because it's the Knight of Pentacles. And again, as I say, knights, horses, any of the cards with horses are movement. Because it's the pentacles, that signifies the material. But considering what it is, I think the thing we've got to concentrate on with this card is the actual horse. And it is saying that you can move beyond the king, Nikki. You can move on beyond them. There's going to be a little bit of a struggle there, but it's a personal struggle. I would say don't engage with this person because you can't win with them on the level they play at. So what it's saying is move on from them or move round them as if they're an obstacle. Move on in your own way, because if you try and play this person at their own game, it's not going to work, because they literally are the king of it. Okay, so it's saying, don't engage them directly, move around them, and then you can move on in life. And that is what your Knight of Pentacles is signifying. But it's also signifying, movement on the material level as well. So just be wary of this person, because those two cards in the middle are very, very significant. And that, it's showing you they're surrounded by you having new ideas, you starting out with a new outlook. But this person they're like a block, they're like a roadblock, and you've hit this roadblock now. Never engage with this person, because they are crafty. They are crafty, and you will never beat them on the level they play, Nikki. They're too good at it. And that is what the warning of the High Priestess is giving you, that everything is not always what it appears, and if you don't know fully what somebody is up to, you can't deal with it. So what it's saying is your best way forward is to ride around them. Just bypass them altogether and move on. And once you've got this movement going, things are going to ease up for you. But just ignore whoever this person is who's standing in the middle. Go round them. Don't try and go through them. Go round them. And that's about the best I can tell you, Nikki. So I hope that helps. Who's
And
next,
you're,
Andy?
you're on to your last one.
Go on, mate.
Yeah, and that would be Becky.
You're Becky.
Aye.
Oh, there's you, Andy.
Really?
The Emperor.
I've always got to put my nose in something.
This is that weird reading I got for her last time.
Yeah.
Every time I do a reading for her, Andy is mentally holding herself back.
Yeah.
That is what this reading is saying. Right, starting in the past, you've got the Emperor, which straight away, Becky, I honestly think represents Andy. Hi, Batman. It's saying, that a male person has been very significant in your life recently. It's somebody who comes from a position of strength. Somebody who's very confident in who they are, and somebody who's very knowledgeable on what they do. The Conqueror is another word for the Emperor. Is one of the references they make to him, but it's definitely saying that you well, we know we have, Andy. You've played a very significant role in a past recently, but that's going back more than just recently.
Yeah.
Now, what is really interesting, Becky, is these last three cards, and these last three cards are all linked together. Now, what I'm getting off the present card, and this is going to sound really weird, is nature. Now, I know what you do with elementals, but for some reason, nature is round you at the moment. There's something to do with something round Becky is very important, Andy. Something on an elemental level.
Right.
And it's somewhere holding back from. And
Yeah.
she's physically holding. She's doing it deliberately. You need to slap her across the hands.
Oh, I won't. So.
Because this is what these three cards are. Because that card now is saying that now is the time something very elemental is swirling round her. There's something on a very elemental level is very, very significant with her at the moment. But the third card across is saying she's lying down and going, I'm ignoring it, which is reinforced by the final card, which is, I always say, trapping yourself mentally.
Yep.
And this is exactly the same reading as she got last time.
All right.
It's coming down, but it's that elemental thing that's really, really interesting. There's something on an elemental level, on a paranormal level around her at the moment, which is very significant and needs to be brought to the forefront. There's something she needs to do on a paranormal level, but she's deliberately not doing it. And what these cards are saying is she should be doing it.
Yep.
But she's thinking she shouldn't be doing it, and she's actively kicking back against doing it for some strange reason. It's also saying it needs to make more tea. That's on the third card. But
I can see actually.
there's definitely something on a paranormal level round her at the moment, Andy. Oh, I found me other cigarette. I'm happy.
Oh, you got it.
Yeah, I trod on it. But there's something that could be very significant for her with what you do. Could be attained for her now. It's something for her on the level of the paranormal, but and she's aware of it. It's probably sitting in the chat now, sulking. She's definitely aware of it.
She's a bit sulky.
But she's deliberately kicking back against it, which ain't the Becky R now, which is really weird. But it's warning her that she's gonna end up not progressing.
Yep.
On the level of needs that she'll end up trapping herself if she doesn't get up. Yep. Literally, the third card is saying, get up off your arse and do it.
Exactly.
Even though you don't want to. That is exactly what that card is saying. Good night, human. Um, but it's definitely something on a paranormal level now, and it's not something to do with elemental encounters as a group. It's to do
No,
with her
it's your
specifically,
own
Andy.
breakthrough. Yeah, it's your own breakthrough.
Yeah, it's something specific to Becky, and she knows what it is. She knows what it is now, but she's deliberately holding back from it for some reason. But that last card is telling her it is the wrong thing to do.
Yeah.
She needs to open herself up to it, and she needs to accept that what is happening needs to happen because in the long run it's going to be beneficial to her.
Exactly.
Because if she doesn't, she's literally going to trap herself and not go any further. And she needs to get up off her ass, which is what that third card is saying. Not lie there going no, pretending it ain't happening, or that it ain't there to be done, because it is. And that fourth card is the warning card of what will happen if she doesn't get up off her ass.
Yep.
But it is this reading is very specific to her, not you as a group.
Yeah.
As a team, it's very specific to Becky. And it's something, and all I can say is it's something concerning nature. So it's elemental. Okay?
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting off them. And that's about all. And this is exactly what I got for her last time, Andy. That there's this holding back for some reason. And I can't understand why, because whatever it is going to be good for her. But she's deliberately holding back from it, and I don't know why. I honestly do not know why. But she needs to kick up the butt, because it's saying that it will negatively impact her if she doesn't do it, whatever it is. It's to get up and do stuff, most definitely. But there you go. That's about the best I can do with that. Oh, right, I can sit down now. Oh, so how is everybody tonight? Right, we'll just do a general chat tonight for the next hour or so. Andy's got to go for midnight because he's got somewhere to go. Andy likes to go out at midnight and bite people for blood. Yeah, I told you my story earlier on. We've had a bit more interaction in the kitchen. We've had nothing going on in the house now for about 6-7 weeks, and then the last few days we've been having kettle fun, where the kettle is actually switching on and off. Actually did it in front of me the other night as I was walking towards it. But like I say, tonight we were actually sitting here watching, because Jason's a big Doctor Who fan. So we were watching Doctor Who, and obviously the door was out, and we could hear and it was actually Jason who heard it first, and we were sitting there and we could hear the kettle being flicked on and off. And when I went in the kitchen, it was on again. Kettle had started boiling. Now neither of us had been in there for an hour because we were watching Doctor Who. But the kettle started boiling. Have you had anything interesting happening or going on?
Well, at my house, no, nothing.
No, just in general.
No, not really. I'm getting back into crafting again at the minute.
Right, what are you doing?
At the minute I'm doing a traditional set of rooms.
Mm-hmm.
I finally found the juniper tree.
Oh, have you found one?
Yeah, David had one in Nature Reserve. I went round and had an Halloween over there and he was showing me them all.
Okay.
So yeah, I've actually got now a full set of traditional rooms and all loads of them entities in them.
And what room set have you used?
Which one is it? It's that one that went off when we did workshop.
Ah, right, okay.
Yeah.
Have you burnt them in, or have you painted them in, or what have you done with them?
I'm doing them with wood burner.
It's fun, isn't it, the wood burner?
Yeah, I've already burnt my finger tonight.
Hi, Wild Bill Pants. Welcome to the stream. Selena says, lol, Brett, 5 hours the other night. Lol, was surprised to see that. That was another really weird thing, Selena, I've happened with that today. I was telling Andy earlier on. We did that stream on Friday night, Now that stream has not been showing on it wasn't showing on my video list even though it was set to public. Anybody who'd actually viewed the stream on the night could see it. And I could see it on my phone and Jason could see it on his phone. But if I actually went onto the computer and tried to view it in my video list, it wasn't there. I had to go into the video editor. So this morning I actually set it onto private for a few minutes and then set it back onto public and it's come on again. But that was a live stream, so that should literally have automatically gone onto my public list as soon as it processed. But for some reason it just wasn't showing on my computer. It was really, really odd. Really odd. And I don't know what was causing it, Andy. But, you know, I could literally see it in the... And the other thing that was really weird as well, if I went into my video editing settings to edit the video, there was no editor option come up.
Really?
Until I'd actually, you know, put it onto private again tonight and then popped it back off.
Right.
But yeah, it was a marathon the other night, Selena. We did 5 hours. If anybody ain't seen it and wants to wait through 5 hours, thanks for the watch time. We did Haunted Island. We covered a load of stuff that night. There was me, Andy and Sam from Life After Life who's on the channel. We had a brilliant discussion. We even discussed farting on investigations. Sam also believes that the Chinese mafia live in woods, which was quite funny. We did have a good laugh, but Sam told us about a few interesting locations in Ireland itself that she'd investigated. She was on an investigation last night as well at Comber House. So look out for that video in the next few days because that should be coming up hopefully. She was there with, I believe it was Peninsula Paranormal, was it, Sam? But we also discussed the Fey side of Ireland, and Andy covered most of the famous Fey, like the Banshee, leprechauns, changelings. What else did we do? The Dollahan, was it? The Headless Horseman?
Yeah.
And we did that, and we also discussed the Irish people themselves and, you know, why they are quite reluctant to discuss the paranormal. It was quite an interesting discussion, Selena, and towards the end of the night it got really, really funny, as it normally does. Sam says great readings tonight and great live stream last time. Can't believe we were on for 6 hours now, Sam. It was a killer. It was an absolute killer, and I suffered for it the next morning because, as you know, we stayed on chatting, me, Andy and Sam, on Skype until about 25 to 4 in the morning, was it, Andy?
Yeah, about that.
And then Jace got me up at 9 o'clock, so I'd had hardly any sleep. Oh, shit. Ow! Sorry, I've just used that bloody red lighter again. It's electrocuted me instead of my orange one. Sorry about swearing, folks. Sam says it only felt like we'd been on for 2 hours. It did, Sam. It was a really good stream, and you know we covered so much stuff in it. But as per usual, it went down into the gutter towards the end, like it always does. But that's the fun of these discussions. You know, they're there for people to talk about whatever they want to. Selena said she left at 12ish. That's disgusting, Selena. Sam, you talk the hind leg off a donkey, lol. She's Irish. All Irish people could talk the hind leg off a donkey. Sam says, yeah, Peninsula Paranormal Group and Night Terrace Paranormal. Right, I will have to look at them. Brett and Andy, when are you going to do a Ouija board session? I presume it's whenever we've got, whenever I've got a. I'm gonna have to arrange something with Andy Mooring because I definitely want to do one. We were supposed to do an investigation yesterday. We were going to a cemetery, and then surprise, surprise, peed down and rain all day. And I mean, the heavens literally opened, so we couldn't get that done. But we definitely want to do a Ouija board session, don't we, Andy?
Yeah,
that'll be quite interesting to film, and we'll put that out because you know, as you know, I've got no hang-ups on the Ouija board. Neither has Andy. I don't know what Becky's opinion of it is. Jason's a bit frightened of him, but he'll probably do it anyway.
Yeah, Becky's fine, yeah.
Yeah. So
No,
if
Ellen,
anything
never done.
jumpy happens, it'll be interesting to see Jace's reaction. Yeah, that was Sam says. Yeah, that was my fault for bringing up bum trumps. Oh, it was hilarious, Sam.
Oh, you got me. I'd kick me off the edge of that one.
System says we all got abducted. That's how it only felt like 2 hours. Lol, it did. Honestly, when Sam said, we've been going 5 hours, I thought we'd been doing about 2.5 hours at the time, Andy. I really
Alright.
did. And then when I looked at the time, I thought, Jesus Christ, she's right. We have done 5 hours. Joanne said, "Oh, it ain't a question off Joanne. It's a statement. I'd love you both to get your REM bears out. Oh, would you, Joanne? During the discussion, then we could ask questions."
I charge for getting my theory out,
Brett, does Jason not come on your streams? I do them when he's not here, Selena, because especially the card reading ones. If I'm doing them for an hour and a half, 2 hours, it sits here being ignored. I keep trying to get him to come on the streams because he has got a computer at home, but he's a bit shy. I don't know if you saw Andy's video when Andy asked his opinion on the investigation and all he got was a yep. That is Jason down to a T. He is quite shy when he wants to be, but I keep telling him he comes across really nice to people. So, but yeah, I am going to encourage him to do more. He actually wanted to do a spirit box session tonight before we leave to see what's going on in the house, but things overtook us, so we don't have time to do it. So we'll arrange something before we leave, and I'll record Jason asking his questions on the spirit box. The problem we have here is this house is really funny concerning spirit boxes. All we basically get in this house, the majority of the time, is this really awful interference that just come. I've actually played it to Sam and Andy, and it's just like a thumping squeal in it, Andy.
Yeah.
And
You'll
then
have to try that though, what Sam suggested
yeah,
about in cooker.
yeah, I'll stick it in the oven and see what happens there.
Yeah.
But we do occasionally get the odd window for say an hour or so where it gets really clear. But it's a really strange house, this one. You should get cameras, Brett. It was a fantastic stream. That was fantastic. Those card readings. Yeah, Joanne. After about 2 hours though, I have definitely had enough of them. Because I've got to talk for 2 hours. I can't really smoke properly. I can't have a drink or nothing, and because you're constantly concentrating, they get a bit mentally tiring after a while. This is why I can't understand people who sit there for hours and hours and hours. They must just read off a script to do them. Hi, Philip. Has anybody got any questions they'd like to ask me or Andy? I'm sure Joanne can think of one. She usually does. We're happy to discuss any topic. Well, any topic within reason. Hi, Phil. Yeah, I've got CCTV, Nikki, that I keep saying I'm going to set up, but the problem is I've got to find a way of dog-proofing it. Because if my dogs come up the stairs and, because the cameras don't actually fit on tripods, so I'm going to have to find some way of taping it onto the tripod for now, but I'm just a bit worried about the dog knocking it over and wrecking my cameras. But it's a very strange house, this one. It always has been. Always has been. We get what our class is sporadic activity in here. We'll get quite a bit going on for a week or so, and then it can go dead for a month or so, and then it'll start up again. Joanne, Andy, what other instruments does the Fae like? There you go.
Oh, musical instrument.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So all we know so far is they're quite like a traditional drum. Like we use one of them Celtic drums. I can't remember the name on them. specific name. Just like a little hand drum. But like bongos and stuff, you know, you'd be alright with that. Any wind instruments, so your flutes, your panpipes, all that sort of stuff. Guitar strings, fiddles, harps, you know, the old triangle, you know, out that you can make natural as well, rattles, you know, you can make with shells and stuff like that. And then we find that we like singing bowls as well, Tibetan singing bowls. So yeah, you know, relatively old really, but that's more on natural end.
Yeah, they don't really go in for brass trumpets and stuff like that.
No, no.
But yeah, I was actually, funny enough, I was actually looking at panpipes on. They popped up for some reason on my Amazon today when I was on my Amazon, and I was looking at them.
Alright.
A lot of them are Peruvian,
Yeah.
and they got like more than 7 on them. But oh, thanks for that, Wild Bill. I'll have a look at your channel after when I come off the stream. But yeah, I was looking at the wild panpipes, the Peruvian panpipes, and you can get them in like all sorts, and they're not that expensive either.
No, not really. Not right.
Selena says, I hear the end of the world is supposed to be July this year. Oh, I heard that one, Selena. Who's come up with that one? It can't be the Mayans. They found a new calendar for the Mayans. You heard anything about the world ending in July, Andy?
I don't know.
You'll have to put in chat who's predicted that one, Selena. Sam says there is a lot of white noise on stream tonight. Might put headphones and listen for EVPs. Yeah, Andy's mic's playing up a bit, Sam, so unfortunately we've got to put up with the crackle. That's why his mic keeps doing that funny chirping noise. I find it quite entertaining. Joanne says, oh, singing bowls. Thanks, Andy.
No, it is.
See, I'm not all bad. I can ask uncomplicated questions too. I'd like to go and investigate somewhere where there was kelpies reported, Andy. Do you know any areas where there's kelpies?
Kelpies?
Yeah, see, I can't swim, so I'd be a bit wary, but I'd like to go and, you know, do a kelpie investigation.
I think Lancashire's got some history with them.
Has it? Because Selkies you've got to go to Scotland for, ain't you?
Yeah.
I'd like to go to Stockwell Bypass as well. You know, to see if we could get hold of that Barguest up there rather than, you know, I know you got the Black Monk there, but
yeah,
you know, I'd like to see what's going on with that Barguest there.
Yeah, I'd go for that.
Because I don't know how gemmed up people are with Stockwell Bypass, but it's a famous area for a Black Monk haunting. It's actually got a more genuine Black monk than East Drive has. It's been reported numerous times on the bar. It was even witnessed by police officers. But there's also a report of a Barguest there, which is an elemental black dog with red eyes. They supposedly are portent of death. So I'd like to go and do that. There's also the kids around the pylon in there.
Yeah, Becky's heard them singing before.
Yeah, I know, I remember you saying. The only problem with doing anything around the pylon is you've got all the electrical interference off the pylon, ain't you?
It absolutely affects everything. You can't use REMs, you can't use K2s.
Yeah.
You can do spirit boxes though, that's alright up there.
How do the spirit boxes work? Okay.
Yeah, they're fine up there.
I need to check who, but heard it. Wild Bill says he's also heard the world ending in July, but can't remember who predicted it. What do you both think about black-eyed children? Andy, I'll let you go first.
It depends on what. Obviously, I've heard about them, and some people that research the faith peg them into our sort of category, and then you've got people that peg them into demon category.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a bit strange, but what I can tell you is, obviously this depends on your outlook of this sort of stuff, but I just find it a little bit interesting. But I did a meditation session quite a while ago, a couple of years ago now, and in that I asked the entity known as Tommy to show himself to me. And I got a vision of a teenage boy with blonde curly hair with people with black eyes.
Yeah.
Which I thought was rather interesting.
Yeah.
And sort of like that was just a meditation thing, and I don't really do meditation and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all I can really say about it. We are experiencing something full on, or at least saying it of its spirit box or a piece of equipment I trust. I can't really have anything,
Yeah.
You know.
Now, see, I don't buy the demon line at all because I don't believe in demons. I believe they could be negative entities of some description. I don't think they're what Christians call demons in any way, shape, or form. Because they basically appear in contemporary clothes and stuff. You know, and normally as teenagers between about, is it 7 and 16, something like that?
Yeah.
You know, and I do find that rather dubious that demons would want to appear as teenagers. You know, because your average teenager's worse than any demon you could encounter.
Of course.
I suspect they probably would be more of an elemental thing. Maybe just along the trickster type thing, and they're just seeing how far they can push things.
Yeah.
But like I say, I definitely don't believe them on the demon level. When I lived in the Midlands, and I lived there up until 4 years ago, I was quite local to Cannock Chase, and I've visited Cannock Chase many times, many times, and they're particularly associated with black-eyed kids, and I can honestly say I never encountered anything on Cannock Chase that was remotely like a black-eyed kid in any way, shape or form. But as to whether they exist, I think they probably do in some form, but I don't think they're what a lot of people suspect them of being.
Yeah.
System says people hearing the world is going to end, but can't remember where they heard it. It's the Mandela effect a lot. It could very well be, System. It could very well be. Nikki says, they say you get good and evil spirits. Is it like that with the Fae?
For most part, I wouldn't call them evil. I wouldn't call any of them evil. I would call them a bit cold. They're a bit standoffish, a bit cold, a bit, but it's always people's perception of what they're doing, if they're evil or good.
Yeah.
I could be pixie-led into the middle of a bloody stream and be wet through and laugh at it, but some people would see it as a sinister or an evil thing to do.
Yeah.
So it depends on your outlook as well.
Would you class redcaps as evil?
I don't know, because I'm looking into them a little bit more, and I think, from my understanding lately, is like they're highly protective of certain bits of land.
So you just think they're more protective rather than evil?
Yeah, and I think they take that protection a bit too far.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's known that the Fae don't think along the lines of humans anyway, do they?
Yeah, it's a different thought system.
What is offensive to us that they wouldn't consider offensive, and vice versa.
Yeah.
There is that. Sam says she used to be a black-eyed child, as she used to get knocked about at school a lot and come home with black eyes many times. Oh God. I've just seen Joanne B's name as I'm coming down the list. I read they chapped on a lady's door and asked to use her phone to phone their mother, and seemed to be quite insistent to enter the home. That is very, very common with black-eyed children reports, Joanne. They always seem to have some kind of request that involves them either entering a car or entering a property. But there always seems to be some kind of request involved with them, and this is what makes me think that they may be elemental. One, because of the eyes themselves, which pure black eyes is quite a common description on a lot of fae in it, Andy.
Yeah.
But there's also that type of bargain thing going on with the, wishing to enter sort of thing. And I think that may be some kind of bargain element to them wanting to come in, Andy.
Yeah, I believe that could be right. Because a lot of them will work on permissions to enter your home as well.
Yeah. While Bill Parry says System Joker could be very well true, or it could have come from all believable Facebook. Yeah, yeah. Somebody might have posted it on Facebook and it goes round like wildfire. Jamie says back, got a phone call. Joanne's laughing at Sam. Hey, Nikki. Oh, Becky's got a question. What are your thoughts on the green children? I've never heard of a green child. Fill me in, Andy. What's a green child?
It's a very famous tale. I think it was up Scotland,
Right.
where these people once found.
I do. When they're two of them.
Yes, there were
Yeah,
a
I
brother
do.
and a
Yeah,
sister.
yeah,
Yeah. But apparently, the young boy died because they couldn't ingest a lot of our types of food.
yeah.
But this girl kept requesting. I think it was some form of corn, and they brought her up on that, and she ended up turning like our sort of tone colour and lived her full life.
See again,
Uh,
I think that would probably be elemental because if you
well,
listen to a lot of the old folklore, the Fae are particularly associated with crops and grain and stuff like that, aren't they?
yes,
They're either linked to dairy and milk, turning your milk sour and stuff, or they're linked to withering your crops and stuff. So maybe they were, and the fact they're green as well, which is
yeah,
very much the colour of nature and the colour of the Fae.
and it's rather interesting that gravestone called the Green Children as well.
What do you think they were, Andy?
I would have imagined they were half elven race
Right.
because there is a few offshoots, but they swore down they come from like inside the earth. They got apparently once they like they learned our language and stuff. She told people that they lived underground and they found a cave system one day and there were a really bright light that they'd never seen before and they walked out onto our sort of place.
Right.
That's how they got lost.
Joanne says yes above, I think so too. While Bill says it was a brother and sister that was found in the wild. They were green. They faded as time went by. Yeah, one of them died, didn't they? And the other one lived.
Yeah, but I think it was a boy that
Was it
died.
the lad who died and the sister grew up?
Yeah, yeah.
Sam says they might have been in the woods eating vegetation. You can't normally colour feed a person like you can a bird though, Sam.
I think it only works with carrots, doesn't it? It can turn you orange if you get too many carrots.
Can it?
Yeah, it's called it's an actual condition. My brother had it when he was younger. Beta carotene or something like that. It's called.
Carrots in it. The colour
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
yeah.
But a guy once killed his son, by eating too many carrots.
Did he?
Yeah, he packed his liver in, and doctors warned him, if you quit now and get your son back onto a proper diet, you'll survive. And he just carried on, and carrots killed him.
When were these? Because I can vaguely remember the story of them, but when were they actually found, Andy?
Oh, I can't tell you dates.
Could they have just been like stained with the undergrowth they were sleeping in, and then it gradually washed off? Or
Maybe so, but apparently there were
It's
really
just
odd.
the funny thing about the corn, isn't it?
Yeah, there were really odd language involved apparently as
Oh
well.
right.
Have a look at dates.
Yeah, Wild Bill said the boy died.
So, sorry, they were actually in Suffolk.
Was it?
And it says sometime in 12th century.
See, there's a number of ways you could go with that. One, they could have genuinely been something elemental related. Two, like Sam said, it could have been the fact that they were living wild in the woods, and they were, it was something they were eating.
Ah,
And
right.
were they twins? Because twins do sometimes develop their own languages.
It doesn't say if they were twins. It just says a brother and sister. It says they spoke an unknown language and would only eat raw, broad beans, it says.
Right. Okay.
Boy was very sickly and he died soon after.
See, to me, it's one of two. Then they were either they'd either living in the forest foraging or they were elemental, one or the other. And if they were just living on beans and that was the only thing they recognised, that would stand up for as a bad diet. But I don't know if it's the strange language and everything, and I'd have thought if it was just the fact they were stained green, they'd have noticed it, the skin being green had got to have probably been the skin being green. I'd have thought.
Yeah.
System says, are there any accounts from people who gave access to the black-eyed children? I have actually read a couple of cases where they let them in, Jolta, and then had a bad feeling about it and asked them to leave. But I think I've only ever read of two cases. One was a woman, and I think they were both, and one was a couple. And I think in both cases, they've actually vanished inside the houses, from what I've read. But the other thing that's connected to them is some people claim they've had bad luck after letting them in, and some people claim they've had good luck. Have you heard of any cases of them being let in, Andy? I've read of two.
No, I've never really looked into them all that much.
Yeah, I've only ever read of two cases where they were let in. And one woman let them in and made them wait on the doorstep while she went, because they were asking for a phone, to phone the parents to come and pick them up, and she got really... when I let them in, I got some and that was two together, and apparently it was two girls, from what I can remember, and one was about... I think she said one was about 12, 13, and the other one was about 6, and they were together. And the other one was an older girl and a younger boy. But I know the woman who was on her own actually insisted they stayed in the hallway by the front door while she went to get the phone, and when she came back, they'd disappeared. And I think it was very similar with the couple as well. That they, once they'd let them in the house, they got a very uneasy feeling, and didn't have them like fully in the house. They kept them in the hallway, sort of thing. But from what I can remember in both stories, when they returned with the phone, they'd gone. Wild Bill said the village of Woolpit is in the county of Suffolk, East Anglia, about 7 miles east of the town of Bury St Edmunds.
Yeah, that's right.
And is that where they were? Woolpit?
Yeah. Woolpit, yeah.
Definitely an interesting case. It's like them clothes you were talking about the other night,
Oh, yeah.
I can't, if they were forgeries, I think people would have actually just made tiny human-sized clothes.
Yeah, I believe that as well.
The black-eyed children always seem to appear at night, from what I've read. No, I've read of a couple of daylight. The majority of them have been at night, but I have read of cases where they've knocked people's doors in the middle of the day, Joanne. But they do have a nasty habit of disappearing, particularly when they refused. I've read no end of cases where people have said they've shut the door on them, looked through the spy hole on the door, and there's been no sign of them. It's like they almost disappear instantly the second the door's closed. Wild Bill Parrish just asking, what does one think of skinwalkers? Again, I think they're elemental. They go back thousands of years in Native American history, and they, the Native Americans were very into the spirit realm and the elemental realms, and I honestly believe they are some form of, maybe even primal elemental, more so than Fey elemental.
Yeah.
What do you think, Andy?
I won't ever, but I've never really properly looked into them, to be fair.
Hi, Stephen. Yeah, Joanne, there have been cases in the day, but they do have a nasty habit of disappearing. But Cannock Chase is very famous for supposedly having them appear there. And I've never, ever, and I've been to Cannock Chase loads and loads and loads of times, and I've never once experienced anything. I ain't saying they ain't there, but me personally, I've never seen one at Cannock Chase. While Bill says I'm Native American, 82% Cherokee. That's cool.
Really cool.
But the native, if you really look into Native American history and particularly their folklore, they are very spiritual people. And they're very much into shamanic magic and stuff like that, and they're very much back to nature sort of things. The noise in the background, Stephen, is Andy's broken microphone. If you'd like to record it and tell us what EVPs you get out of it. I think Sam's already doing it. But yeah, I would like. I'd love to get to America and visit some of these reservations and speak to some Native Americans for their stories. And
Alright.
I think the world in general could learn a lot from the Native American tribes. I really do. I really do.
I'd love to have one of them like experiences, me.
You'd like to have a what?
One of them experiences that they do when the shamanic experience.
Oh, when they eat the
Yeah,
things and do the smart. Yeah, I would.
I'd definitely do that.
Sam says if I encounter a black-eyed child, them disappearing would not be an issue for me, lol. No, I never say Indian, Wild Bill. I always say Native American or First Nation, even because that's what they are. Because there's that famous area in America. Is it Skinwalker? Is it Skinwalker Canyon they call it? Didn't Ghost Adventures go and visit it, Andy?
Oh, I don't know. I only
Near the
saw some
cave.
of them.
Yeah, I'm sure Ghost Adventures did one of the really famous areas in America where they did, and that's on one of the reservations.
Right.
But there's a cave system there as well, and this is where a lot of them are reported in the cave systems. And see, this is another link to the elementals because they're always linked to underground, aren't they?
Yep.
There's a lot of caves and underground things linked to the fae and elementals in general. Sounds like we're standing near the motorway, Stephen. Yeah, Skinwalker Ranch is in. Is it Utah? Skinwalker Ranch. I would love. Welcome back, Jane. I would love to visit Skinwalker Ranch because Skinwalker Ranch for me has just got everything. It's got absolutely everything. It's got cryptids, it's got aliens, it's got ghostly apparitions, it's got elementals, it's got ghostly shamans, it's got everything, Skinwalker Ranch.
Keep you busy, won't it?
Oh, it would do, yeah. And the interesting thing about Skinwalker Ranch is a lot of the UFOs actually appear to be coming onto the property via dimensional portals. Andy has actually got a waterfall in his house, Sam, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And Strawberry River B&B next door to Skinwalker. Oh, I hadn't heard of that. I hadn't heard of that one. Strawberry River Bed and Breakfast. Raining on the outside porch. I actually find it quite relaxing. The sound you might, because it sounds like rain.
Would you investigate Clown Motel?
Where?
Like Clown Motel in the States?
What's that? Has it got clans in it?
Oh, thousands.
No. No, in a word. I don't do clowns and I don't do dolls. No way, they creep me out. That fucking ugly Robert of Sam's. If I went to visit Sam, he'd have to be covered up. I would be running to the loo every 5 minutes, lol. It's only a little one, Sam, but when he switches it on, it's ever so relaxing to hear the water trickling. You say, Wild Bill says you see the UFOs flying over the ridge around the ranches. Yeah, there's some really interesting ones go on at Skinwalker Ranch because I know there's been reports where they've actually heard of something hovering in people of. This is really interesting, Andy. They have actually heard people above them
Yeah.
having a conversation about them on the ground, but they can't see the people, and they estimate they're like 20, 30 feet above them in the air.
Alright.
But they're invisible at the time, but they can hear them having a conversation, discussing them on the people on the ground. While Bill says Clown Motel is lame, sorry. I wouldn't go anyway. I'm not a big fan of dolls and and certainly not clowns. You need to talk to Life After Life if you want to talk to a doll expert. Sam likes the dolls. Tombstone. I'd love to go and visit some of these old ghost towns in America. Would you, Andy?
Oh, I'd love it.
Could you imagine the residual hauntings and stuff in places like that? Because they were brutal, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, in general, I'm quite keen on Western stuff anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love films.
Well, people always say to me, if you could go anywhere in the world to investigate, where would you go or in America? And everybody always does that bloody what you call it, the sanatorium,
Oh yeah, Waverly Hills.
Waverly Hills. I always say Gettysburg. I
Right.
would love to go to Gettysburg. There are so many locations in Gettysburg. It's unbelievable.
I think I'd like to do the Stanley Hotel just to see it.
Hmm.
Especially with me like
Yeah.
Shining connection. I'm a big Stephen King fan. Like.
System says, do you think abandoned properties attract spirit energies? No, I don't think they attract spirit energies. I think you have to have people living in them to do residual hauntings, and I don't think ghosts make a beeline for empty properties. I think a lot of empty properties where you've got what people class as intelligent hauntings are what Andy's about to tell you they are. Go on, Andy.
They love them. They absolutely love abandoned properties. They obviously make use of it.
Oh. Sam says Rachel's house is just as bad with clowns. Besides herself, she must have over 20. And I just couldn't. I just couldn't. They just creep me out. While Bill says he loves dolls. Stephen says he knows of someone who knows the owner of the Clown Motel. I wouldn't want to go, Stephen. Clowns really aren't my thing. While Bill says, Stephen, I've been to the Clown Motel. The cemetery next door is called. So that's what I'd do. While Bill, while everybody was in the Clown Museum, I'd go to the cemetery. Spirits are not squatters, lol. Correct. I think why a lot of people associate abandoned properties with spirits is because a lot of these abandoned properties don't actually have intelligent hauntings. They have residual hauntings, and I think it's because people have lived in them over the years, the energy somehow imprints on the property. You find very few abandoned properties have actually got intelligent hauntings. They all tend to be residual ones. I ain't saying every one of them is, but the majority of them tend to be residual. Do you agree with that, Andy?
Well, as you know, I don't look for that sort of stuff, so
Yeah,
I
but I
can't.
mean, from the stories you hear, they tend to be more of seeing someone walk through the wall rather than having conversations with ghosts.
Well, yeah, I suppose.
Sam says, I would love to investigate David Oman's house, apart from it being haunted. David is famous for cooking really nice barbecue chicken. I'll just go for the chicken, Sam. I really would just go for the chicken. So come on, Andy. If you could go anywhere in the world to investigate, where would you go?
Uh, it's a tough one for me, that. Based on the history of it,
Hmm.
it's somewhere really close to home and somewhere really doable and somewhere I've been before but not to investigate.
Pottingley.
Now, the home of Thomas the Rhymer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in Melrose. Um, but to do it for sort of the scenery and the backdrop, if you will, and to
Hmm.
say, oh, you know, I'm here.
Yeah.
I'd love to do somewhere. I know it's impossible, but I'd love to do something around Area 51.
Yeah, I would. But it's
Even if
about.
it were just on land
Yeah.
near it, you
I,
know.
I don't actually believe there's anything stored at Area 51 now. I think it's
Yeah,
all been moved. It
but,
became too famous, I think.
but you never know
No, you
on
don't.
the area that Box could communicate with stuff if it
Hmm.
could. You
Yeah.
never know what's there on land that could
Yeah.
spill beans.
Yep.
You know.
Stephen says I've been watching a group of Welsh guys investigate abandoned buildings. I quite like watching the urban explorers, and believe it or not, it's how Andy and Sam got into the paranormal was through doing urban exploration. But mine wasn't. Mine was through actually having an experience. But a lot of a lot of a lot of urban explore, a lot of people in the paranormal do tend to come in via urban exploration, and I do think that's because of the residual energy they encounter in a lot of abandoned places. While Bill says the old motel is done with clown motif, including every room, most of the action comes from next door at the cemetery. That's where, honestly, while Bill, I wouldn't want to go into the clown hotel. I'd be going next door to the cemetery. Joanne B says Suicide Forest. I would. I'm not so much bothered about going to Suicide Forest. I'd like to go to Japan because the dogs I've got are Japanese, and I do love the Japanese culture. But I don't know. I just think there's too much of the dramatic about going there at the moment, and knowing that that forest is specifically there for, is used a lot for that. I don't know. There's just a bit of an element of disrespect for me. It's like going in the hope of seeing somebody kill themselves or seeing, some residual from somebody who's killed themselves. I'd get to the what's it called? Okay, what's it called? The one in Romania.
I about you.
Ayabachi, the one that never sounds like it should be Eastern European. It sounds like that should be Japanese.
Yeah.
I was actually watching some videos on that the other day that they came up in my watch list, and it was this guy, and I think he'd done about 14, 15 videos from this one investigation, and he kept splitting up, but nothing happened in there. But I got the impression he was only walking around one little clearing, and
Okay.
he was making out he was deep in the forest, and you could see lights, car lights and stuff. So I think he'd
Oh
literally,
yeah, the actual, that clearing of trees
yeah.
is quite close to a road.
Well, he weren't in that clearing. I think he'd gone to a music festival and just hopped into the trees on the, into
Ah,
the
okay.
what's it. But he was making out he was going right through it, and he weren't. He'd spent the entire 18 videos or how many there were quite close to the edge of the forest.
Yeah.
Um, while Bill says worldwide it's hard to pick one. USA it would be Skinwalker Ranch. Yeah, I'd love to go to Skinwalker Ranch. They call themselves Hell on Earth. Hell on Earth are good. They make me laugh.
Oh, Eleanor. I watch Eleanor.
I watch Finders. Is it Finders Beepers
Finders
sometimes?
Beepers,
Yeah,
yeah.
I quite like Finders Beepers because
Yeah.
they're quite down to earth.
Is it Jane who said Eleanor? Yeah. Well, I've got a funny story about them lads because they're not too far from me. They're only over at Wakefield end.
Are they?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I once, how we used to make the horror teddy bears.
Yeah.
I once made one and left it in an abandoned farm. that had their sign on it saying "Hell on Earth." It was like a koala bear, but with like teeth and claws and stuff, like
Yeah.
snarling. And we left it in like a storage compartment next to the toilet, and I tipped them off.
Hmm.
Like and said, "Oh, go and find this thing," and I sent them like a sneaky picture on it, and they went through that night just to go and find it.
Yeah.
And then they did a video on it, like pulling it out, and they were like, "Whoa, look at that!" It was really cool. It was really cool. They loved it.
System. Jane says, "Ellen Earth are good. They make me laugh." System says, "Amy Crypt." Yeah, I saw that was one of the other videos that popped up. System, but after watching 3 or 4 of this guy's videos, I gave up because there was nothing happening as such. He was literally just walking around in a circle, claiming he'd seen a light for 18 videos that he hadn't actually caught on camera. Wild Bill says the ranch is not far from Area 51. See, I'd love to go to Area 51.
Me too.
I'd love to go and have a sneak around Fort Worth in Texas as well, where they apparently took everything.
Oh yeah.
Oh look, surprise, surprise, Maureen Roundtree is forming a group. Joanne, you ain't come up with one of your controversial questions yet.
I know. I've been waiting. I've been anticipating it.
I know, we always anticipate a Joanne question at least one of the night. If a fairy portal appeared in front of you.
Yes, I bloody would.
Yeah, I would like to go to Area 51. I'd like to go further in, actually, to see Dreamland.
Oh yeah.
S4 it was called, weren't it?
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to go and have a nosy around Roswell as well. Just
Yeah.
what alien culture that it's turned into there. I'd love to see some shops and we all gigs and that. I'd be like, whoa.
I'd also like to go and visit British Columbia and Washington State for, some Bigfoot hunting. I'd love to do that.
Yeah, apparently Colorado is really good for it.
Well, they're getting it all over. Florida's got their version. They call it the Skunk Ape.
Okay.
But see, the only problem I've got with Florida, which I've been to Florida 4 times on holiday, and what a lot of people don't realise is, when they film things like Tarzan and the African Queen,
Yeah.
they actually let the animals go after they'd finished filming in the Everglades.
Right.
So you've got things like chimps and stuff actually living wild in Florida.
Yeah.
And, and a lot of wildlife in Florida that isn't actually native is down to the old 30s and 40s Hollywood films.
Right.
So people seeing apes in Florida, I could put down to chimps and stuff, but some of the skunk apes they describe are quite big, a bit too big for chimps, but I think a lot of sightings would be, these chimp colonies that have formed.
Yeah.
Yeah, the USA is big. It's got some amazing places.
I've got a question.
Go on.
Did you do a bum trump about 5 seconds ago?
Yes.
What you did?
Just done another one. I did a bum trump, Sam.
I heard it and I looked at the side and I was like, is that my headphone making funny noises again?
No, I did a bum trump live, my first one.
Brilliant. Oh, dear.
Joanne says she'd love to see where they put everything from the Roswell incident. It was apparently taken to Fort Worth in Texas. Where it went from there, who knows? Who knows? But yeah, I'd, if I went onto the West Coast, I'd like to go up to, Washington State and into British Columbia in Canada. Sam says, lol, good on you, Brett.
Oh, dear.
Well, when you're sitting here chatting, you just forget him, everybody's watching you. You just think, oh, let rip with one.
That's it.
I shall have to link this when we do our fart videos now. We were talking the other night about doing a video with, just getting investigators to send us their funny clips and just making them all into a video.
Yeah, I think
Because
it'd be good.
there'd have to be Andy's fart on there, my fart, Sam's fart, and Sam being chased by the cow. So we got 4 already. Yes, it was the headphones.
When I was part of Soul Reaper, I used to have an habit of trying to catch people doing silly stuff on camera. And our Kyle once packing his bag up, right? And he was like humming a tune to his then, like do 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 do, right? And his ass was bobbing up and down. So I goes, "What were you doing then?" And I turned camera on and like zoomed in a bit on him, and he did it again, right? And he goes, "Oh, you." Anyway, at the end of the video, I edited him doing it constantly, bobbing his ass up and down, right? And then there were close-ups on it, slow-mos on it, all to "I see your baby shaking that ass." It was brilliant.
Oh, James put. Oh, you should. I'm gonna have to look for that one. Wherever you may be, let your wind blow free. Church or chapel, let the windows rattle. System says, so is that the new initiation test to join? Yeah, you got to drop one live on air. I honestly wished I'd filmed Jason them 2 incidents at the convicts tunnel.
Oh yeah.
The first one was really funny because Jason is quite clumsy, and to get on top of convicts tunnel, you have to go up this, and it is a really really steep bank. In it, have you been, Andy?
Not to that part, no.
And and it is a really steep bank, and it's just like a little muddy trail. And he was clambered up practically on all 4s to get to the top. And of course, I told him the story about the poltergeist up there throwing the stones, which apparently is genuine up there. And I let him wander around for a minute, and I could hear him shouting down to me, "Oh, I can see it." And I threw a pebble up there, and it hit the wall and bounced on the floor, and he came flying down, and he literally came running down this bank, and he went that fast he actually grabbed the tree and swung round it at the bottom, because he nearly ran into the bloody barbed wire fence at the bottom. But the second one, and the one that would have been really funny, was the bat and the bird of prey. And this bat kept flipping around, and he was literally screaming, running round like an headless chicken with his bat, which was bad enough. But the worst thing was, just as it got dark, this buzzard swooped in under the bridge where we were,
All right.
and it was dark, and buzzards have got a wingspan of about 3-4 feet, and he
Yeah, yeah,
literally nearly jumped off the top of the bridge in fright. We had to go down we had to get off the top of the bridge. I honestly thought he was going to jump off the top of the bridge in fear over this bloody bird of prey, and I really wish I'd have recorded it, because I'd have put it to the Benny Hill music, do do diddle do do
yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
him and this bat, they was having this battle for about 10 minutes, and he was just shrieking every time this bat come anywhere near him. It would have been brilliant with the Benny Hill music. You might have to work out some bulk buy deal on Yankee Candles, lol. But people don't realise the funny things that happen on investigations. Because a lot of people do the drama and stuff, but you can have some really funny moments that are a lot better than any drama on an investigation. All sorts of weird and wonderful things. But Jace is probably one of the best. He really is, because he jumps at everything. Because you will have to do more than sage your room. See, I actually don't believe in saging. I think saging works more out of the belief you think it's going to work rather than the sage itself. What do you think on that, Andy?
What's aging?
Yeah.
I think it's for more cleansing yourself than anything.
Yeah, I think it's more of the belief.
Yeah,
Works more so than the actual sage itself. Like I said the other week, I think you could get it. If you believed a tube of fart spray got rid of spirits, and you believed it enough, it'd work as well as sage. You could
yeah.
spray fart spray around the room to get rid of spirits.
I'm dropping a link into that Soul Reaper video. You're gonna skip to 1 hour and 8 minutes.
I'll just have to watch that later.
It's proper funny.
He could have got his own back on me when we went to Roach Abbey, Stephen, when I went arse over tits down the bank, literally arse over tits down the bank. What you can't see on that investigation at Roach Abbey is I did the entire investigation with about 2 inches of thick wet mud on my ass because I slid from top to bottom of the bloody bank with all my equipment in a bag, and I went down on my arse with my bag held in the air. I was more worried about damaging my stuff. Had he got the camera, it'd have been quite an interesting shot because it was a good 20 feet slide down the hill I went. Oh, I'll tell you something. It's my farts I have to worry about here. It's the dogs. If
Oh,
one
it's
of if,
same here.
if one of these two drop one, I'll go green. Literally, I'm holding my breath and hoping it'll disappear because them always really meaty smelling.
Yep, same here.
And the thing is, they're quite funny because Kaya's good and like Coco does full blown farts, and
Yeah,
she
yeah.
actually sits there and you can hear her doing them. And Kaya's the best because when Kaya does one, he'll then start looking at everybody in the room and walk out as if they've done it. Honestly, it's hilarious, Kaya, when she does it.
Dear.
Absolutely hilarious. And you think, Jesus Christ, I can't believe the dog's just farted and blaming everybody else.
When mine goes and gets laid in the kitchen and we close the door to, like, if we've got eating on our out, it'll do them and they'll drift underneath the door and get me, like, 'cause I sit near up kitchen door, don't I?
Mm-hmm.
And it proper drifts under and
Under the
bloody gets.
door and gets you.
Yeah, yeah.
Joanne says, what are your thoughts on the Bermuda Triangle? I personally think there's something going on there, Joanne. What is interesting to note about the area, though, is that there is a couple of really interesting natural phenomena that go on there.
Yeah.
One is they have these really big waves that cause a drop in the air pressure so that they could suck planes down, literally. The other one is that there's reports they have really high EMF bursts in the Bermuda Triangle. Now, is that the Bermuda Triangle itself doing something? Or is it something naturally occurring? I don't know. But I definitely believe there's something going on there. But apparently, so Andy was telling us a couple of weeks ago, they've actually estimated that it's moved 12 miles.
Yeah.
It's actually moving the Bermuda Triangle.
It's
But
moved north, isn't it, or
yeah,
something? Yeah.
but the Okabaku, that forest, whatever it's pronounced, that is actually classed as a triangle as well. That's classed as the Romanian Triangle. It's within the Romanian Triangle. What's your thoughts on the Bermuda?
I think it's, like you've just said, there's a lot of natural phenomena going on. I think there's a lot of, like to do with magnetism at Earth.
Yeah,
Like, it's highly amped up.
yeah,
But I think some ancients might have known about it because they put that pyramid underneath
yeah,
water
yeah,
there. So they were dabbling with summit, back in ancient times.
yeah. Yeah, apparently, Joanne, I think they've estimated it's moved, is it 12 miles north
Yeah, yeah,
of its original position?
yeah.
But I know it links the coast of Florida. It extends from the coast of Florida across to Puerto Rico and down to Bermuda.
It suggests, though, doesn't it? If they found out that it's moved, that they're still testing it and tracking it.
Yeah, yeah,
So there's still stuff going on there. We just
yeah,
don't hear about it as much.
yeah.
Yeah,
There's still things disappearing in the Bermuda Triangle, but they tend not to get reported so much now.
yeah.
They ain't so dramatic anymore as they used to be.
Yeah.
I presume it's by where they plot where things are disappearing, Joanne. I presume is how they're measuring it. I suppose if nothing's been occurring in the 12-mile zone at the bottom of the triangle, and that there's now things happening 12 miles above the last thing, um, they're probably plotting it by disappearances and stuff. But there is apparently supposed to be a giant crystal pyramid on the seabed in the centre of the Bermuda Triangle. It'd be interesting to see if that's moved.
Could you imagine?
I know. Yeah, that's where Glenn Miller disappeared. That famous one where it was the 6 fighter planes, Squadron, what was it, Squadron 40 Summit?
Oof,
I
can't
think
recall.
I think they believe now that that was actually down to pilot error, that he was reading the instruments wrong. But there's a lot of things that go on there. But there's this thing to do with gas. Is it gas that comes up off the seabed there as well? And it causes water and air pressure to change, and it can physically suck down ships. While Bill says Mother Nature energy, they lay in the ley lines all over the world. Yeah, we've got a lot of ley lines that crisscross Britain. Um,
Oh, lots.
Stonehenge, believe it or not, is lined up with a lot of things. There's a famous ley line that Stonehenge sits on,
Yep,
and it lines up with Avery. Is it Avebury as well?
yep.
It lines up with Avery Mound. Is it Glastonbury Tor?
It comes straight up past here,
Yeah, it comes up here.
and then it goes it straight through middle of Edinburgh.
Yeah,
It's like on a weird, it's on a slightly offshoot western angle
yeah.
as it travels up country, main one. Yeah.
Some think it might be Atlantis. Yeah, that is one of the popular theories in it. There is something to do with the city of Atlantis. Yeah, and you heard that theory, Joanne. That's quite a popular one, the Atlantis one. That it's actually somehow linked to Atlantis. But it's like we've got something similar to Atlantis in British in British history. It's the Isle of Hibernia, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
The one that's supposed to, it sat below the Isle of Man and was a lot bigger. And Hibernia is actually linked to the Fae, believe it or not, because that's one of the areas they claim that where Tiernan and Og was on the
Right.
island of Hibernia, and then it suddenly disappeared. But if you look on a lot of old maps, really old maps, you can actually see the island of Hibernia on the maps.
Hmm.
Yes, the release of CO2 that produces bubbles creates enough turbulence to sink. Yeah, and it changes the air pressure above its system. And they say, it can suck down ships and literally pull planes out of the air, which could explain some of them, but I don't think it explains all of what goes on in the Bermuda Triangle. There has been some really weird occurrences there, and there's been a lot of UFO reports from pilots as well just before they've disappeared. I'm surprised you hadn't heard the Atlantis theory, Joanne. You
I
know,
mean,
go on.
if you got funding for an expedition to go in,
Hmm.
and you could get like say world's most powerful Wi-Fi mast, and you could live stream up to point to obviously if something big were to happen, it'll cut out.
Yeah,
Would you do it?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I would.
I think that'd be an interesting little
Yeah,
job.
yeah. It's because it's like Loch Ness, isn't it? They've done all the sonar sweeps on Loch Ness,
Yeah.
and I used to be a massive believer in the Loch Ness monster. I sit on the fence with the Loch Ness monster now because the more I've looked into it, it's the physical things like the lake. Cause, the loch itself has got a very very low fish population for its size. And it's the sustainability of because they estimate they'd need at least 20. I think it was 26 nesses to sustain a population.
Yeah.
And they say there is absolutely no way there's enough fish in Loch Ness to feed that many.
I mean, that's always considering it's on our physical realm as well. It could be
Well,
passing
yeah,
through a
that's why
thin
that's
spot
why that's why
underwater, couldn't it?
that's why I sit on that's why I sit on the
Yeah.
fence. For all we know, there could be a bloody some kind of wormhole at the bottom of Loch Ness, and it's coming
Oh,
through some kind of time slip.
but yeah, it could have been simply a frame of time slip, and it's
Yeah,
just gone again.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Blame it on the Kraken. What about the town that disappeared in Devon? That's an old story, that one, isn't it? It's like the one in America. What was it?
Roanoke.
Roanoke.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd like Champlain. Yeah, the one in Canada. Apparently, he's a bit more of a movie star though, and he likes to come out and walk past people's cameras. Apparently, who live on the edge of the lake. I know there's a woman said she's actually caught him walking past her house. I've seen the footage of that. And it's quite convincing looking footage. And she said there was two of them visited over a period of 2 weeks. But yeah, that's Champion Lake Champlain. I'd like to go Nessie hunting.
Yeah, Becky's always wanted to go up and have a look at it and
Yeah,
that.
even just to say, I've been to Loch Ness and seen nothing. It's just the experience, and it's like Stonehenge, Andy. I've been to the pyramids and everything. I ain't even been to bloody Stonehenge, and it's on my bucket list.
Yeah.
I really want to go and see Stonehenge because I think it'd be interesting to go down there with the spirit box and stuff and see if the box would actually tune into the circle itself.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
To see what sort of goings on you'd get down there.
I mean, I've got a lot of ancient monolithic stone circles on my to-do list.
Mhm.
Lots of them. Because there's that famous one in Cornwall, isn't there?
Yeah.
On Dartmoor, that they call it Minions, don't they
Yeah.
now? Seven Sisters and all that.
I'd like to go and see the White Horse as well, because that's and is it the giant man with the big willy,
Oh
the fertility one?
yeah.
Because even to this day, women go and lie on his willy, don't they?
Mhm. Oh dear.
It's still considered a fertility rite. Something happened to the village either in Devon or with Chelsea. Yeah, I remember reading about a village that disappeared in Devon. I think it was definitely Devon, Stephen. But there's towns like that dotted all over the world if you look into it, where they're there 1 minute and then when people go back, they're never there after. But Roanoke's about the most common one, isn't it? The most famous one.
Yeah.
But there's rumours there that they were killed by the local tribes, or they were eaten by the local tribes, or all sorts of weird and wonderful theories they've come up for it. They have found bigger places in the UK than Stonehenge. Yeah, I think it's the age of Stonehenge, because they now believe it's actually 2,500 years older than they originally thought it was. Because they thought it was about 4,000 years old. I think they think it's about 6,500 years old now. But you've got to ask yourself, how the hell did they transport some of them stones?
Exactly.
Because some of them came from Wales, Andy.
Didn't someone come from Ireland as well?
I think so.
Yeah.
I know some of them were definitely quarried in Wales, and that's one hell of a bloody long trek to and some of them lentils, you're talking tons and tons in weight.
Oh, aye, definitely.
But I was watching one theory the other day where they were theorising they moved it with some kind of sonic waves.
Yeah.
That they
Well,
moved the sounds.
Tibetans are into all that, aren't
Yeah,
they?
yeah. But I'd have thought surely if you put in like sonic waves through stone, you risk weakening and cracking it along any faults. I'd have thought.
Mm.
They've actually found a place in not far from Stonehenge, and it's called Woodhenge.
Woodhenge all
And
made the
it's only
tree
a couple of
stumps,
it's
isn't
only a
it?
couple of miles away from Stonehenge, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
And that one sits on the same ley line as Stonehenge.
yeah.
But that one's even older than Stonehenge. They believe that one was built from wood, and they believe that's where they actually lived to build. They were moving. They lived there to actually build the henge. Is what they believe. It was used as like the crafters' mini town sort of thing.
Yeah.
But there's an even older one been found in, is it Iraq or somewhere, that used to be old Mesopotamia,
All right.
and it was deliberate. They worked out, and that one's like 12,000 years old or something like that.
Yeah.
and then for
I think,
some reason they deliberately buried it.
yeah, same with that one. They found, well, because sea level dropped on this island up Scotland, they found another one up there, and that's a lot older than Stonehenge as well.
Yeah, yeah. That is that the one on the Isle of Skye?
I think so. Yeah.
See, but it's like the Mediterranean has actually risen 400 feet. People, this is where people think why Atlantis could be, because I didn't realise apparently there are hundreds of towns in the Mediterranean actually underwater.
Right.
You know, really old ancient towns and cities that they know of. I think they said something like 180 of them that were actually, you know, because since the last ice age, I think it was, the sea's risen 400 meters,
Yeah.
and it's, you know, there's a lot of these cities and stuff dotted around the Mediterranean, and that's where they think, you know, maybe that's where the legend of Atlantis came up from.
Mhm.
And it's like the Isle of Avalon. That's never been found, has it?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and that features strongly in the King Arthur legends. But see, that was strongly linked to the Fae, wasn't it? Avalon.
Mm.
That was, you know, because Morgan Le Fay and everybody was linked to that, weren't they? And she was supposedly uh, linked with the elementals more so than as was Merlin himself.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
You know, because he was considered a shapeshifter, wasn't he, Merlin? They
Yeah.
said he could actually shapeshift into a Merlin. It was one of the animals he could do. But you know, if you look back on a lot of folklore around the world, it's amazing the similarities.
It is.
The coast of Japan dropped when the earthquake hit some years ago. Yeah. Well, they've had to build a lot of levees around Japan, like they have with the Netherlands, because tsunamis and stuff like that, and they ain't working. But California's going to be the next big one.
Yeah.
When the next time they have a proper major earthquake, big one in along the San Andreas Fault, a lot of California's liable to going into the sea. I just hope it don't drop Washington State in as well, because that's where the Yetis are. Well, the Sasquatch. But yeah. So apart from elementals, Andy, what else would you like to do paranormal wise? Places to go? Obviously, Area 51
Oh,
as well.
obviously. Yeah. Just I'd do all standard ones. Like Loch Ness and um, that forest in Romania that we talked about. I
I'd
won't
love,
mind
I'd
doing.
love to go there.
I won't mind doing proper castle, Dracula castle.
That's Whitby, innit?
No, I mean over in Romania.
Oh, the Transylvanian one.
Yeah,
Vlad the Impaler's castle.
yeah, yeah. But people always think it's that. Is it Bran Castle?
No, it's just
And
Vlad's in it. It's Vlad's castle.
yeah,
It's the
because
real one.
that one, even though all two guys now I think they say it weren't. He was just held prisoner there
Yeah,
for a number of years.
yeah.
Um,
It's actually Vlad the Impaler's castle. You've got to go to the
yeah, 'cause
one,
it's like
the
it
one
is.
where he actually impaled them all the way up to the gates, didn't he?
That's it, yeah, 'cause it is in ruin, but there's still like replica bodies on spikes outside of it. I think that's amazing. I always forget its name. I'm just looking it up now.
Wild Bill.
Uh,
Wild Bill
oh,
says,
that's
I
it.
have some beachfront property in Arizona. I'll sell real cheap. We were actually talking about that the other day, Wild Bill, because I was reading the other week that apparently all the property on the eastern side of the San Andreas Fault is now rocketing up in price because eventually it's going to become beachfront property. Go on, Andy.
Yeah,
What were you saying?
original name's Panari.
Is that what it was
Yeah,
originally?
Panari Castle. Yeah.
You know, but he actually impaled thousands there at that castle, didn't
Oh yeah,
he?
thousands.
It was his favourite method of execution, wasn't it? Just stick him on a stick in front of his castle.
Yeah.
Charming bloke. I'd like to go to Japan and do research some of their paranormal stuff, because I'll tell you something. the Japanese, to say they're so reserved, such a reserved and polite people, they've got some real far out supernatural beliefs, Andy.
Yeah, definitely.
Some real far out ones. That one I was looking at the other day, which he got a big eye in his bum, and he bends over and looks at you through the eye in his arse. That one was fascinating, absolutely fascinating. But they've got ghosts for everything, that do everything. Bet that works better than a no canvassing sign, lol. But yeah, when California goes into the sea, Arizona's going to be beachfront property, most definitely. But I've never been on the. I've always been to the east coast of the states. I've never been on the west coast. But I would like to do British Columbia in Canada for Bigfoot, and then come down into Washington State. See, 'cause a lot of people get when you say I want to go and look for Bigfoot in Washington, they straight away think you're talking about Washington D.C. on the east coast.
Yes.
They
Yeah,
don't
yeah, yeah.
they don't realise there's a Washington State on the west coast. But I'll listen to a Bigfoot channel that reads a lot of stories out called Dixie Cryptid. He's done a couple lately of actually urban Sasquatch, believe
All
it or
right.
not. There's been reports of them coming into urban areas lately, which I think is quite interesting. But if you're if you like your Bigfoot stories, Dixie Cryptid, he's brilliant to listen to. He just reads out the stories that people send to him, and they claim that they're true stories. And he's actually done recently. He's been doing a series of interviews with Bigfoot witnesses, and some of them
Cool.
have been really good. Wild Bill says he's on the East Coast. I love Florida, Wild Bill. I'd go and look for the skunk ape in the Everglades. I'd love to. I don't know where else I'd fancy going. See, Australia, you don't really hear much about. I'll follow a couple of Australian teams, but I can't really think of anywhere really famous in Australia that's haunted. Can you?
No, no.
Nothing really springs to mind. But it's like Scotland here, isn't it? There's very few famous Scottish areas, but I think that's because they're more sparsely. It's more sparsely populated in it, Scotland.
Yeah,
It
it
tends
is.
to be in clumps like Edinburgh and Dundee and Aberdeen and Glasgow and all that lot. So but I know they've got a few decent spots in Scotland, but there's no real one that stands out, is there? We have reports of the Bigfoot all over the US, even here in the southeast. Yeah, I know it's skunk ape in the forest, in the Everglades, and I think it's the standard Bigfoot in it in Carolina. They keep reporting, but Carolina have a lot of swamp monsters as well. I don't know what I think of swamp monsters, Andy. I don't know whether it's people are seeing like big gators or what.
All right.
But there's a lot of lizard people in especially along the Mississippi areas. Like Louisiana
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and South Carolina and all that lot. There's a lot of them. New Zealand has a few haunted places. Does it, Stephen? See, I've never really heard much from New Zealand either. But ain't the Sydney Opera House supposed to be haunted?
Oh, I don't know.
I'm sure there's supposed to be a ghost at the Sydney Opera House. See, that's somewhere else I'd like to do. Some of these old theatres, because actors are really superstitious lot, ain't they? And there's supposed to be a lot of famous hauntings in theatres. I'd love to go and see if I can find anything. But again, a lot of them are residual.
Yeah, yeah. There's one out of Manchester where we are a lot of homeless in Manchester like claimed it, an
Yeah.
old theatre, and they turned it into like a little community centre for homeless, which I think is really cool. And they tidied it up and everything, but they won't go and use a certain toilet. They say it's horrible.
Oh right.
And I was trying to do a thing a few years ago and getting a few teams together to go and like sort of hire it from
Hmm.
them, for night.
Yeah.
and give them a donation to community centre via a few teams. Because I think they'd go for it, and actually
Yeah,
sit and interview them
yeah,
and then actually do the theatre and do a big and let them tell their story through documentary,
yeah.
I think it could have been a good thing, but you know, it fell through.
Might be one to think about for the future.
Yeah, it could be.
System says Ayers Rock apparently if you take a souvenir rock you send it back pretty fast. Sounds like the Pebbles in East Drive. Perhaps that's where they've got that one from. The Ayers Rock story. I know the Crucible in Sheffield's haunted and what's that cinema what's the theatre called by the Crucible?
I don't
Starts with
know.
L I think. That's supposedly haunted as well. But the Crucible's supposedly got an intelligent haunting. Supposedly. An old colonial house in Auckland is one place I can recall. Yeah. See, I'd love to do Gettysburg because there's loads of residual stuff at Gettysburg. I would love to do Gettysburg because it's such a large area. It ain't just one area of the town. It's all over. Different inns and different locale and the bridge. There's the famous bridge there where they did the charge to break the Southern Army. There's all sorts of places. I'd like. There's ain't there a couple of famous elemental locations up in Scotland?
There's a fair few. Yeah. There's a little village. We are even today that they will not lock the doors because they believe that the the elementals have got a right to pass through their houses,
All right.
and every single house has got the doors back to front parallel in a straight line,
Really?
so they can pass straight through. Yeah.
Christ, that'd be one to visit.
Yeah, it'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't mind visiting that one. But it seems to be dying off a bit on YouTube the last couple of weeks with the paranormal stuff. It seems to have gone quiet for some reason. But I think the poltergeist thing's coming to an end, innit?
Oh, really?
I think the poltergeist's been done to death now. So there's. I think when the next big buzzword comes up, we'll start getting a big increase in videos again. But I do think the poltergeist's been done to death now.
Alright.
So we're gonna have to wait and see what the new buzzword is. I wouldn't mind doing some more work at the Stone Circle, Andy.
Oh, down at the bottom, yeah.
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 It'd be interesting to see if we could get in touch with that Puka again.
Oh, that'd be great.
I know it's going to tell us a pack of lies, but it'd be worth having a chat to it to see if we could actually communicate with it again.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's completely fascinating now. You said that behind them trees is actually a lake
Yeah.
where we heard that mooing noise.
Well, if you and Jace ever want to come over and go for a walk down there,
Yeah,
so you
definitely.
can see it in daylight as well, and get a lay of land,
Yeah,
I'm quite happy to go down for a walk. I mean, it's one of my favourite spots.
yeah.
I can show you rest on it then as well.
But that was a good night. That was. But that definitely sounded like what's it been? Oh God, I can't even pronounce that. Chickamauga Battlefield is where you need to go. Lots of spirits, right? Okay. Um, Mystery After Death says he's been there. Oh, you're lucky. Who's Bumfluff Paranormal?
That'll be Rose.
Is it?
Yeah.
Hi, Rose. She sent me a picture earlier on of a gorilla's ass. That says that's my ass.
Yeah. Oh, dear.
Oh God, Bumfluff. So have you set a date for going back to Rosie's yet?
No, I'm gonna have to wait till we finally get his car. because relying on other people is next to impossible.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So we've decided to just wait till we've got a car, and then we can do it at our own leisure. And
Has there
you
been
know,
any movement on that yet?
it shouldn't be too much longer. I mean, you know, it's going to be from help from Peter. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
my friend Peter. But hopefully, you know, it won't be too much longer.
Fingers crossed.
That's it.
Yes, I got a new horse. Okay.
Did you order it off Wish Rose?
No, I was importing it from China.
Oh,
That's
dear.
Rose's thing, is to import stuff from China. Have you heard of anything new equipment-wise coming up in the field lately? The only thing I've heard of is that portal thing with a mirror.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think that's the latest thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. Because normally we have something decent come up once a year, but there's nothing really come up this year, has there?
No, not
I've
really.
noticed a lot of the teams are starting to use a lot more apps.
Yeah, yeah, I have.
I gotta be honest, they ain't my. What's everybody's opinion on apps in the paranormal? I gotta be honest, they ain't my favourite thing.
No, same here.
Because I do think they're basically programmed to just chuck out noises every so many seconds.
Yeah, I wouldn't I mean, I've trialed it.
Mhm.
You know, I've trialed it very, very quickly with stuff Arno talks regularly,
Yeah.
and I've had no luck with it.
Yeah.
So it was never for me. I like it, you know, because that's the thing in it with Spirit Box. You can't guarantee what's going to come through it. You know, it's not a word bank. It could be anything. It could be anything that comes through them. And when you're getting like proper replies to certain things,
Yeah.
you know, on a completely random system,
Yeah.
it's better in it. You know, them results I would say are more believable.
Mhm.
You
See,
know,
the problem I've got with apps is, they use word banks, but um, I do think they are heavily loaded with paranormal words, or they use sound banks of like paranormal radio stations.
yeah,
So you're gonna be getting paranormal references on them constantly. Paratech is a random word app. I've used Paratech, Jane. I used it on an investigation once to try it at Needle's Eye. Um, Sam says just bought a Roland Mini Cube amp because the cheap one I brought had bad quality sound. Just waiting for the last two pedals now, and I'm sorted. Sam and this bloody box will be finished by the end of the year. I was gonna have to carry a pedal board around with her. How many pedals is planning on fitting to it? Yeah, I actually spoke to Happy Droid who months and months ago, and I asked him how many words was in the Paratech, and he said he estimated there was about 30,000 words in it. I would rather think. Same here, Sam. I just think that they're just too loaded with words that you want to hear. I really do. And if you put a spirit box side by side with a phone with an app on it, your spirit box the intervals between what you get have varied, don't they? Whereas if you listen to these apps, it's like blah blah blah, blah blah blah, blah blah blah, constantly, and it's like they're constantly churning out sound whether there's anything or not, sort of thing.
yeah,
I've just never had good results with them. I've never, and it's like the Ovilus. I've never been a big fan of the Ovilus, Andy, because
yeah, yeah.
how many investigations have you actually seen where an Ovilus has spit out words that have actually made a full sentence?
Never.
I can't think of any. And a
No.
lot of the time, they don't even relate to one another. And the problem with overlists and apps, and this is probably going to be controversial to some people, but I do believe people with when people use the apps, they start to create a narrative around what they hear. And I know people do it with the spirit boxes, no denying they do, but because there's a lot more sound coming out the app, they tend to create a lot more scenarios around what the app's saying rather than them leading the app, sort of thing. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, Andy?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah.
And they seem to think everything that comes out of an app is a communication.
If people do get good results and they're happy with it, and
Yeah.
fair,
Oh, I don't, I
fair,
don't, I
fair
don't, I
play,
don't
isn't
knock
it?
anybody using them themselves. But for me, I've never used one that I've actually got coherent, communication out of.
Yeah.
You may get the occasional what looks like an intelligent response, but a lot of the times it is literally totally random words. Whereas with the spirit box, I do tend to get a lot more intelligent responses on a spirit box.
Hmm.
And you could say it's all just down to random chance, and that's all we're getting on the spirit box as well. And that may very well be proved to be the case for all we know.
And if it
But
was, but it's still cool and spooky.
yeah, but
In itself, it's still
yeah,
paranormal.
of course it is. Try the portal, Brett. I've tried them. I've tried them, Rose. I've tried a number of them, and I just do not like them at all. Yeah, exactly, Sam. You can make up some, but I find because the apps spit out a lot more sound. People tend to try and associate something with everything that comes out the app. If you put a spirit box side by side with an app, I guarantee you'll get probably 50% more sound, if not more, out of an app, because I honestly think they're programmed to push something out every so often, whether there's communication or not.
Right, I'm gonna have this smoke and I'm gonna have to fly off.
Yeah, well, we'll wind it down in a minute because it's after 12 o'clock, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I don't knock anybody using the apps if them getting stuff off them. But for me personally, I just don't rate them out. That's any of them. Any of them. Hi, Waldy. You've literally
See,
caught us just as we're about to close down. Go on, Andy. What
yeah.
were you going to
I
say?
was gonna say, I think this year I'm gonna try and go back to older techniques. Me,
Hmm.
I want to introduce more of that in.
Well, I want to start doing the old stuff like the compasses and stuff, which I used to do way back when I first got into the paranormal. I used to use compasses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you can get some interesting stuff on using compasses. And it's hard to fake a compass,
Oh, yeah.
especially if you stick it on the ground and you like, if you got it on the table, you can stick a magnet under the table and move it. But if you're doing it in full view
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
on
yeah.
the ground, you can get some quite good stuff off compasses. And I want to start using the. It's no problem, Waldy. Honestly, I want to start using the dowsing rods more and stuff like that.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm going to be doing some experimentation with them in the summer, but I want to do it all barefoot. So
Yeah,
you're taking
yeah.
in earth energy to rods direct. That could be cool.
Rose says I am using less. I use them, Brett. What, you using less apps? I used to use the compass a lot when I was younger, Joanne. When I first got into the paranormal, and I was like, really starting to get into it at 15, 16. I used to use a lot of the compass and stuff then, and I used the Ouija board a lot more then as well. And I want to start getting back to using the Ouija board and stuff because I think people are getting too much of the wrong opinion on the Ouija because it's not what a lot of people think it is. It certainly ain't a devil board,
Now is it L?
which is what they keep trying to push. But I do want to get back into the compass. You ought to set a compass up in your house, Rose. You know, it'd be interesting to set a compass up and leave it in El's house and see what happens.
I've had an idea about trying to rig up an agstone on camera lens, which
On a
could be
camera
quite in.
lens.
Yeah, yeah. Because obviously agstones
Mm,
were like to see into the fairy realm and
yeah.
stuff. And I thought if I can try and rig one up onto a camera lens,
So you're
you
actually
know,
looking through the stone itself with the camera.
yeah, and see what it can do. That could be interesting.
Good night, Mystery. You have a good night. I'm closing the stream down in a few minutes anyway, because Andy's got to get off, and I could do with a coffee, and I need to get to bed and stuff, because I've got a lot of packing and stuff to do. So tomorrow, or yeah, but yeah, that'll be quite interesting. Have you got an axe down, Andy?
Yeah, I've got a few.
Might be
Yeah,
interested to see if you can get one to fit then.
yeah.
You don't have to fit it right on the lens, do you? You could like mount it on a
On like just a little bit further away.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you ain't got to worry about scratching the lens or anything on your camera.
Yeah, yeah.
The compass, Jane, is you ask it question. You can ask it questions, and it spins the needle. Now a compass, once you put it down, should automatically settle on magnetic north. But it's used if it starts spinning when you're asking questions. It's used as a type of yes/no type communication thing, or you can just leave it as a trigger object somewhere and see if it starts to move. Because technically, magnetic north shouldn't fluctuate enough to move a compass. And then it proves that it's some kind of outside. There's got to be an outside force working on a compass for it to move. Be it fake with a magnet or it's something else actually doing it. And that's why I like to put compasses on places where you can't, hide a magnet underneath them. Like put them directly onto the ground or something. So unless you've rigged the ground up with something underneath it, you can't be accused of faking with it. Well, look, guys, I'm going to call it tonight because it's after midnight now. It's 10 past actually, Andy.
The,
So yeah, thank you for coming on again and being the hostess with the mostess in your green
Aye,
sequin dress.
no worries.
And thank you everybody for coming on. And I'd just like to say good night to everybody and thank you all for your questions because you are what make the channel. It ain't just us babbling. People's questions do help drive the streams, and we do cover some interesting topics. Um, Everybody look out for Sam's upcoming video on Cumber House because that should be a good one. She did an investigation last night, so that should be interesting. If anybody else has got any investigations coming up or anything, feel free to stick them in the video comments, or there is an above paranormal group on Facebook where you can post them in there as well. And I've got the postings open so anybody can post in there. You don't have to wait for permission or anything. So have a good night all and thanks again for coming in and we will see you sometime next week.
Good night, everybody.
Good night everybody. Thanks a lot.